Business Studios, 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
You know how a lot of people complain, oh, it's summer. Of course you're making stuff up to talk about. We usually don't because we have a lot going on in Philadelphia, but it does happen to the national media, believe it or not.
Oh, it does?
Oh, it does. And today we're going to try to put things to bed. We got Phillies talk after that just beat down of the Dodgers last night and a whole lot more. Adam Schefter is going to join us early. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Wednesday morning, Philadelphia. Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you. How are you?
I'm great. I watched the 10-1 freaking beatdown of the Dodgers last night. Dude, Connor said it this morning. I tweeted it out last night. It makes so much of a difference when you have Major League Baseball players in your lineup. Just not even the way it played out. The way you just look at the lineup card. When the lineup was tweeted out yesterday and Schwarber and Harper were back in it, you're reading it and you're going, oh, wait, this is what a Major League lineup looks like. I forgot how that looked for a while because they've been playing with basically 4A players for the last 3 weeks.
You know what's great about it, though? They went 4-3 in that stretch.
They did.
But you just see is what you said, depth. And like every inning, the second inning isn't looking like the back end of the second inning is a crappy lineup.
Right, no.
It's deeper, and everybody feels comfortable. And last night, you did it without Harper and Casty, two guys who absolutely can rake and knock things around and everything when they get hot and get rolling. It's a really impressive thing. And last night, I think, was a great statement coming off the Braves series.
Oh, absolutely, because there were people that were panicking. And I still don't understand how anybody could have panicked when Harper and Schwarber and Real Muto were all out for that series, and
Amen.
Brandon Marsh had a back cleanup for you in games during that series against the Atlanta Braves. Oh, by the way, platoon player Brandon Marsh, because they don't play him against left-handed pitching. So your platoon player was your cleanup hitter during a series against, I know you have a decent lead ahead of them in the NL East. They're still a very formidable opponent. They're a very good baseball team. So I don't understand how people were panicking. Yesterday, you had Wheeler on the bump. He was tremendous, and we'll talk about him exiting the game in a couple of minutes. But you mentioned the bottom of the order. Brandon Marsh, 2 for 3 yesterday, hit the home run. He had an RBI. Rafael Marchand with the big day. He goes 3 for 3.
Another big day.
Another big day, yeah. And then Yohan Rojas, good for him, man. 2 for 3, had the nice ribby. It's stolen base. I mean, they were just running all over Miller yesterday. Like it was not even really a contest yesterday.
I loved they had that young man rattled.
Yeah.
And we talked about it yesterday. Do you think anything that happens in July matters? I do believe that a young pitcher, now I don't think they're going to be going to him in a playoff game.
Right.
But it's nice to put the memory in their head of, well, that kid will have PTSD about going into Citizens Bank Park for a while.
How about that?
I got to admire him, though. They left him out there. Dave Roberts left him out there to just, like, hey, wiggle out of it, kid.
Right.
And he was sweating. I mean, he was.
Yeah, those jerseys.
They're terrible.
They're not good because it doesn't hide the sweat at all.
And it changed the colors.
Right.
As Tom McCarthy's talking about on the broadcast, he goes, it's actually changing the color of the Dodgers.
Right.
Top of their uniforms. It was hilarious to watch it. I may have traded a text with a Dodgers player.
Okay.
That I left during the game and got a text in response afterwards saying, this place is hot as hell. So I'm taking that sometimes hot as hell. It gets in players' heads.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Gets in players' heads.
Unbelievable day yesterday for the Phillies. They win 10-1 against the Dodgers. And to your point, I hope that puts a lot of people at ease because people were panicking for a little bit.
You know what's great?
I don't know why.
You know what's great though is you were out Monday as you're transitioning back to the States.
Correct.
I was absolutely impressed, at least with our listener base.
Yeah.
We didn't have it.
Yeah. Okay.
We had nobody in our listener base that was even texting or otherwise saying, oh, my gosh, we lost again to the Braves. I said, look, it pissed me off. But then games like that just remind you, this is a special ball club.
Oh, absolutely.
A really special ball club. And today, the Phillies are eligible for Social Security. The magic number is at 65 this morning.
65. Unbelievable. Where it's July 10th and they're 65 games away.
They could have it at 60. I mean, by the All-Star break, the magic number could be at 60.
Yeah, you got 2 games against the A's that you should be able to win, and who knows if three. And then who knows if the Braves lose some games, and that will add to the magic number.
We got 2 more to beat the Dodgers. Let's
Absolutely,
beat those.
and they can. So nice win for the Phillies yesterday. Just a couple of updates. Take some deep breaths. Zach Wheeler exited the game with the lower back tightness. It was 1,000,000 degrees yesterday.
I was worried, though, because Connor's been battling some back issues now. Bob battles back issues from time to time.
And they're all as athletic as Zach Wheeler.
Oh, absolutely. They are.
More so.
But I would bet that I would think 100 degrees would be less apt to have any kind of back issues.
Maybe.
That you're as loose as you could ever be.
Could be loose, or you're straining even more because of the heat. Who knows?
Okay. Oh, never thought about that way.
And
Didn't think about it that way.
so he leaves the game early, but Rob Thompson speaks after the game and says he believes he'll be available for his next start.
Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Sunday.
but we talked about it before the show. I would skip a start.
But
like,
you don't have a, but you're going to pitch Williams on Saturday versus the A's. You don't have a fifth start. You don't have another starter.
Do a bullpen game right before the All-Star game. What do I care? Like, do something. Look, Zach Wheeler is
I want
important.
the wins.
Right.
I want the wins.
I got you. Well, you can win with a bullpen game.
I don't know. I don't like
You're
it.
playing the A's. Like,
I got you.
Like, you should win 10-9 if you need to. Like,
Bro,
Okay.
sign me to a one-day contract. I'll throw.
yeah, just
I'll
go
save
out
some
there
arms.
and just exactly.
I can get you 3.
Well, talk about the A's. This is a major league club.
So look, they'll be okay. I would skip Zach Wheeler's start, just like I would have not brought Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber back just yet, but they were ready to go and they played yesterday. It was great to see them in the lineup yesterday.
How would you tell them though? You're Rob Thompson. Like I heard people making this case yesterday. You're Rob Thompson, and the Phillies team doctors have cleared both of them. They've gone through with the trainers, gone through with the team doctors, and they say they're good to go. You're Rob Thompson. How would you tell them?
Hey, the bigger picture is October, not July.
So I'm going to sit you out for 6 games.
Yeah.
That you're healthy.
And get ready after the All-Star break. We'll get back to it.
They'll never. There isn't a Major League Baseball player of their caliber who would ever
of their
accept
caliber.
that.
I was about to say, Anthony Rendon straight up said he doesn't like playing baseball.
No, but I'm saying is, there isn't a player of their caliber who would not
they
turn
would
over a desk. They would turn over a desk.
Oh, absolutely. They want to play, and clearly that's why they're back in the lineup against the Dodgers yesterday. But
And Schwarber looked great. Harper had some nice swats.
he did it. Yeah, he did.
But it just didn't. They just didn't.
Look, they're fine. They're fine. I'm sure they're fine. It's just something that I would have probably done. I would have been hesitant to bring them back, just like I would be hesitant to let Zach Wheeler pitch in his next start. Other issues that happened yesterday, Johan Rojas gets hit on the hand, but they didn't even X-ray him. He's fine.
Which is fine.
So Johan
it didn't
Rojas
look good
okay.
though when it hit.
No,
when he
it
got
did.
hit.
I mean, look, when you get hit in the hand, it doesn't.
See, I first thought right around the wrist, lower forearm, and I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with that.
Don't tell me.
He ends
we
up.
got the Pache experience full time. That would be awful.
Oh, no, then they would definitely make a trade. And then Bryce Harper, they just took him out because they were up by 1 billion runs. So good night for the Phillies last night. Want to let you know, before we get into an Eagles discussion that we have today, Adam Schefter is going to be joining us at 6:30.
Got a big charity event tonight that he has to get out to, so he's on an early flight this morning. But he wasn't missing Kincade Salciunas.
No, he said, look.
He texted me at 2:45 in the morning, which, by the way, always means death to me.
What'd he say? You up?
No, he sent me this thing, and I thought you guys had gotten it too. And it took me till 5:30
No,
to
it's
go.
just you.
What about the text?
Man, the 3 a.m. text from Schefter. I didn't realize you guys were tight like that.
I said, oh, jeez. I said 2:40 because immediately that alarm will wake the sound will wake me up.
Right.
And I'm going, somebody's dead.
Somebody's dead when you get a text like that.
Dead. Like somebody who's texting me at 2:40.
But no, it was Adam Schefter saying, hey, I can't miss Kincade and Salciunas. It's my favorite show to do.
He didn't actually say that, but he meant it.
No, but he said it.
He
More
meant
than, like, you could quote quote Schefter. He likes us more than NFL Live and
Well,
all
he does
all that
do that,
stuff.
yes.
But Adam Schefter will be joining us at 6:30. We'll still play it at 8 o'clock, so we try to keep our normal programming. But normally, Schefter joins us every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. He's going to be joining us coming up at 6:30. So a treat for the early risers of Kincade and Salciunas. So Adam Schefter in about 20 minutes. So speaking of the Eagles.
Yes, sir.
Today, we're going to try to put things to bed. Because there might be things that we don't agree on, and shocking.
Shockingly, that we might not.
We disagree on things, and
I think we agree a lot more than I thought we would.
I think so too.
When this show was put together, I thought we'd have much more disagreement than we do. And Connor actually is, even my wife pointed out, is Connor and I have agreed more recently. Like, I think Connor.
Well, yeah, you're getting smarter. We're working on it.
We're helping you out.
My answer to that was Connor's growing up.
Oh, of course.
I think we're all helping each other here.
Yeah, exactly.
But the reason why I bring up putting things to bed is this morning I'm just refreshing Twitter. Now, I sometimes, out of spite, don't play these things, but it's July 10th and we need the content. And clearly, the national media shows need content as well. So yesterday, what is it? Speak for yourself. I don't know the shows.
Is it a Fox show?
It's a Fox show.
So it's a title of a show that's a copy off of something that ESPN has.
Okay.
So they take it and they try to make it sound like ESPN to trick you into watching it.
Okay. That's Fox. That's a good ploy right there. But whatever show Emmanuel Acho is on.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I didn't listen to this purposely.
Emmanuel Acho,
Speak for yourself.
I think I've agreed with him 0 times in my life. Like, I don't think he's ever said something where I have said, that's a good point.
You think he tries to get clickbait?
Maybe.
Do you think?
Dude, I don't know.
Think?
Because if
Maybe?
I disagree with somebody so much, it's very Skip Bayless-esque.
Oh, it is.
Just without the same name.
It is.
Right? Emmanuel Acho's career is not at the same level as Skip Bayless's, and that's a sad thing that Skip Bayless has a level of career when all he does is say the opposite to make people angry and react. Like, it's amazing to me. So, Emmanuel Acho, I'm going to play this clip for you. And we're not going to completely react to it all day, but it's going to lead to us having a topic about trying to put other sports topics to bed. But here's Emmanuel Acho yesterday. The topic was whether or not you would take Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott, and he went with Dak Prescott. And then he goes into his reasoning being that Jalen Hurts has never actually played well in the playoffs. Take a listen.
I don't think Jalen Hurts has ever been the reason his team has won a playoff game. Go back and look at it. He's never been the reason his team has won a playoff game. He had 188 yards in the win versus the Giants. The Giants have 7 points. They win without Jalen Hurts. The Niners, all their quarterbacks was hurt. It was Jalen Hurts versus Christian McCaffrey. He had 160 yards in that game. The Niners had 7 points. They win without Jalen Hurts.
So,
oh my gosh. I mean, he honestly, Emmanuel Acho, and he's, I've had the opportunity to interview him once or twice. He's a cartoon character.
Seems like it.
And he seems like a nice guy, so I will give him that. But he is a cartoon character. He is purposefully saying, what can I say to just try to create clickbait?
That's what it seems like.
No, it is. I'm completely convinced because I've been told over and over again, he's a smart guy. That he's smart.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
So
what comes out of his mouth, I don't believe it.
So he's probably doing this to get reaction.
Yeah, he's trying to get ratings. He's trying to get people, and he knows anything he says about Philadelphia.
He's going to get. Here we are.
He uses the Chris Sims mantra of going. Chris Sims knows if he says something inflammatory about Philly, it gets him trending, it gets him talked about,
right?
It gets him attention, and for Chris Sims. That is his life's goal.
Right, exactly.
Living in his
attention.
Right, that's what he wants.
So here's what I want to do today. And we can get texts on this, calls on this, 610-632-0975. I want you to try to put something to bed. Have a strong case behind it. And it could be anything in Philadelphia sports. It could be past. I would like to try to focus on the here and now because Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not, this isn't a topic where I go, oh, if Nick Foles or if Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, I could make the case that they would have won the Super Bowl. No, I can make the case right now that Jalen Hurts is the reason why they won playoff games or was a part of the reason why they won playoff games. Yes, did they knock out the quarterbacks of the San Francisco 49ers? Absolutely. Did he only throw for...
By the way, is that part of football?
Yes, it is a part of football.
It's the strange thing to me that that gets overlooked.
John, they could have knocked out Jalen Hurts.
Wait a minute. No, they're not allowed.
Believe it or
No,
not.
they're not allowed to hit Phillies quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that.
So I get that Jalen Hurts' numbers, if you look at them, weren't eye-popping against the San Francisco 49ers.
By the way, coming off of injury.
He also rushed for a touchdown in that game. You look at the Giants game, 154 yards, 2 touchdown passes. I don't care that you only throw for 154 yards. He threw 2 touchdown passes, did not throw a pick, did not have a turnover. Isn't that something that you also celebrate of a quarterback when they are careful with the football? Part of the issues that Hurts had last year.
And here's where I got a problem with him, with Acho, is the idea that it's the same stuff that Brock Purdy gets praised for.
Right, absolutely.
So if you're going to praise one quarterback for being, man, he's just so intelligent, he didn't turn the ball over, didn't put his team behind the 8 ball, then you better sure as hell give Jalen Hurts the same level of respect.
Right.
But Emmanuel Acho is trying to get the clicks.
And look, do I think Dak Prescott has better arm talent than Jalen Hurts?
He's a much better passer.
Absolutely believe Dak Prescott has better arm talent than Jalen Hurts.
Much better.
Who's the better overall quarterback? Jalen Hurts is.
Jalen Hurts has shown that he is.
I mean, Hurts last year, the amount of turnovers that he had was horrible, and that needs to bounce back this year, right? Like
15 interceptions alone, not counting fumbles.
Right, and that's
that's
not hot take
that's
radio.
terrible.
I'm not trying to be
That's
Emmanuel
terrible.
Acho saying Jalen Hurts was not great last year and needs to be better this season. But Jalen Hurts, I feel more comfortable, game on the line, ball in his hand, that he's going to make the right decisions, whether it's passing the football or tucking and running himself, than I would Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's career has fallen short.
And Dak Prescott in those situations, what's the highlight film?
Nothing.
There is none. I will tell you, watching the Eagles down in the Super Bowl by 8 points and watch that drive by Jalen Hurts,
right,
which was almost a single-handed drive, and then his 2-point conversion to tie the Super Bowl.
He did it by himself.
I got to tell you, every time I watch the Super Bowl, I get so excited again when I watch that, even in a loss.
Right.
It gets me choked up because I'm like, that guy, that was ballsy.
Yeah.
That was ballsy and stuff, and it told me everything I ever need to know that Jalen Hurts can get it done in a big situation.
And you know what's funny? Emmanuel Acho specifically says Jalen Hurts hasn't been the reason why they've won playoff games. Well, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but he was the best player on the field that day. But what, is he not going to give him that credit?
I don't think there's a question that he was the best
on both sides of the ball.
He was the best player on the field. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes, multiple times, has said it.
Yeah.
Has said it. That Jalen Hurts, did you watch Jalen Hurts all day? It was unbelievable. He said, I needed every single point. I needed every single thing to go our way.
Right.
I mean, if there are things to question about Jalen Hurts from last year, but if you're going to throw shade and disrespect at Jalen Hurts, you are just trying to get clicks because I got to tell you, and I've said it before, I believe he is absolutely going to return to 2022 form.
And I feel good that he will get close to that.
Okay.
You know how I felt about it. Like I don't think he'll be as good as 2022, but I think he's going to be much better than last year. So here's what we want to do today at 610-632-0975. What can we try to put to bed today? One of the things I think that we all agree on is that Jalen Hurts was part of the reason why they were so successful in 2022, not just in the playoffs, but also the regular season. We all agree that he was probably the MVP of the league that year if he didn't miss 2 games.
I don't think, and I'm still appalled that it cost him the MVP.
Oh, yeah, it should have.
Absolutely
Especially
ridiculous.
when they lost both games that he was out in.
And more importantly, the hay was already in the barn. The work that Jalen Hurts did already secured the number 1 seed for the most part. So to me, it's ridiculous that you would hold that against him.
Right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to start thinking of other things that we could try to put to bed. Because
now, can these also be historical? Because
Sure.
I have one currently, and I have one that's more of a historical in nature.
All right, give us the historical one.
That the Sixers were a triple doink away from winning an NBA title.
Quadruple,
Excuse me. I'm thinking the double doink.
Yes.
My doinks, a little off. That the Sixers were that's what winning an NBA title. No, you were heading to overtime. You weren't winning that game. You were just going to head to overtime, and you were going to head to overtime shorthanded. No, I'm so tired of that talking point, and I wish it would stop.
They're winning the NBA title. If that shot doesn't go in.
I wish it would
we're
stop.
not going to agree on this one.
Yeah, we're not going to agree
because they then match up very well against the Milwaukee Bucks, and then they play the injured Warriors.
No, you got to win that game at that time shorthanded.
And they would have.
Well, that's good.
They would have won that
Your
game.
crystal ball's great. That's very, very
I will
good.
never let you tell me otherwise, John.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, that game
That's your parade.
still has
That's your parade in your
scarred.
head.
Yeah.
No. That game scarred me, too.
Forever.
That game scarred me, too. In fact, that is one of the – there are a few times where the family knows. TV went off.
Yeah, you just silence.
And I went off and went off like a bear to the woods.
Yeah. Because you don't want to watch that anymore.
I was just like,
but I can't agree with you on that one, John.
I know. Okay, that's good. But you understand, that's why this stuff still exists.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why we still talk about it.
Because of that moment. You know, Connor's at Garage. That topic comes up. It's going to be a debate.
So what is something in sports that you would wish to try to put to bed today? And I'm glad that we can all agree that Jalen Hurts was a part of the reason why they were so successful in 2022. And Emmanuel Acho saying what he said was just absolutely ridiculous. Coming up next, Adam Schefter will join us. Early edition of Schefty at 6:30. We'll get to your text reaction after Schefty. We, of course, will react to what Adam has to say when he joins us. We got a lot more in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this beautiful Wednesday morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. Phillies pummel the Dodgers on Comcast. Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll be joined momentarily by Adam Schefter. I know that might come as a surprise to you. He normally joins us at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, but he's flying to a charity event. So we'll talk to him about that a little bit, but he's going to be in the air at 7 a.m. the flight is, so he would miss the hit.
Right, he would miss it, and he wasn't missing Kincade Salciunas.
No, he doesn't want to. I mean,
no, he doesn't want to.
I can't blame him.
I can't either.
So he'll be joining us coming up momentarily. He'll be calling in probably from whatever airport he's at, and then we'll have him on, and then we'll replay it coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. So here's what we got going on today. We opened the show first just reacting to the Phillies game yesterday. Great win for the Phils yesterday. Bryson Stott, we talked to him a little bit yesterday about how much he's been struggling. His first couple at-bats looked horrible yesterday. But then he has the big home run, and it was a monster shot.
That was in the RAV fourth inning.
Right.
He hits the Toyota sign.
It's amazing.
That was great.
So
and
you hope
that was a bomb.
You hope that turns things
because
around.
He's been what I'm shocked with Stott is his discernment of the strike zone has been horrendous compared to what we saw last year.
Right.
Working counts, 7-8 pitches. He at one point in the last 2 seasons, he saw the most pitches in a month of baseball. He was the leader of seeing the most pitches.
Right.
It's not happening this year.
No, it's not, and he's clearly struggling with it. And so hopefully it turns things around.
The defense hasn't sagged.
Oh yeah, he's tremendous.
So
in the
that's
field.
good.
So we're reacting to the Phillies, and then the conversation that we have about trying to put things to bed today. We'll continue that coming up. I know you got some text coming in. You can text the show, call in at 610-632-0975. But as I mentioned, normally at 8 o'clock we had a pivot a little bit today.
Pivot.
He's joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline every day, and business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. And he's brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com. That's the great Adam Schefter. Shefty, good morning, sunshine.
Andrew, John, I got to tell you the story. So initially, I was supposed to be yesterday in Nashville with Rex Ryan. He was having a Sunday countdown gathering at his house, and I was flying today to Orlando from Nashville, but I was doing it later in the morning. But the day before, he called me. He's like, hey, Teddy Bruschi's got something that came up. Sam Ponder can't make it till the next day. We haven't heard back from Randy Moss. So I think we're going to have to delay it. So we're not going to do it. I'm like, okay. So I still had to go to Orlando Wednesday, which that was my plan. So at about 2:30 in the morning, I'm laying there. I can't sleep because I got an early morning flight. I've already boarded the flight. And I say, oh, man, I forgot that I have Philly radio at 8 a.m. So I texted John at about 2:45 a.m. John, you get me on earlier.
Yeah, and it was weird because when I get a text at that hour of the night, I think immediately death.
Yeah.
So this was good news to hear that you were alive and that everything was okay.
Well, yeah, I wondered. I was hoping I wasn't waking you.
No, it's all right. We get up at ungodly hours.
Yeah, we're up bright and early. But we appreciate you still coming on today, man, and thank you for thinking of us. We know that this is your favorite hit of the week. We know that, so thank you for doing it.
I do enjoy my time with you guys, and I do enjoy being in the Philly market. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure you also enjoy summertime sports talk. I want to start this off with you. So yesterday, we had one of our hosts here on the station call in because 2 days ago on these airwaves, he said that he believes that the Eagles will start the season 1-3. And he gave actual reasons why. Part of it was the turmoil that happened last year, but also the new coordinators and the young players defensively for the Eagles. Vic Fangio obviously is very respected in this league. Do you believe that Vic Fangio can step right in with a defense that was horrible last year, 30th in the league, and a lot of new pieces this year, where they can almost start the season off hot like they have in the last couple of years? How difficult of a task is that for him?
Well, I think they're going to be improved when they start the year. And what I mean by that is improved over last year. But I do think that the units should get better over the year, and that the offensive and defensive units will come together as the season goes on. But I think that when the season opens, I think there's enough talent there that when they open up in a new offensive unit, in a new defensive unit, that it should be improved over last year just because of the level at which they were playing last year. So, I mean, they play the Packers in the opener. Who do they play the next 3 weeks?
They play. They come home for Atlanta, and you'll be here for Monday Night Football, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And then 2 road games at New Orleans, at Tampa Bay.
They won't be 1-3. I don't know what they'll be, but they won't be 1-3. I don't believe they'll be 1-3.
Let me ask you something. When you think of teams that win championships or at least compete for championships, we're looking at this pass rush of the Eagles, and we have serious questions about whether we see enough sacks there, considering that has been something that has been a staple of the Eagles for years to come. Do you think this Eagles team has enough talent and a guy in charge that's going to get after the quarterback enough?
Well, I would just say to you that I am a big fan of the guy in charge. And I think he's one of the top defensive coordinators in the game, period. And has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the game for a long period of time. So if anybody's going to get it out of him, it's going to be him. That's the way it is. And there's enough talent. Would they like to be more talent? Absolutely. Are they always looking? Sure. But they've added enough talent to where I think they could open the season, have a stellar defense, do what they need to do, get the type of pass rush they need. I think it's there. And Vic Fangio, I think, is the right guy right now at the right time.
How much stock would you put into Devin White? Last year, linebackers was a big issue for the Eagles, and he's a guy that's been struggling the last couple of seasons. But when he came into the league, he was tremendous. Wins a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Should the Eagles put a lot of stock into Devin White being this impact player, or is he more so a veteran presence in the middle of the field when they're still trying to usher in Nakobe Dean into the NFL?
Well, here's what I would say there. At one point, he was an incredible linebacker. And last year, for whatever reason, his performance dropped off. And it dropped off dramatically. Now, which is it going to be? Was that the system in Tampa? That's hard to imagine because he was productive there. You know, was he going through something personally? Did he not? Well, I don't know the answers to this, but you know, sometimes players fall off and they can't get back, and sometimes players fall off, they know they fell off, and they use it as a chip to challenge themselves and get back to a level at which they perform. Is Devin White going to achieve the heights that he reached during the prime of his career? That would surprise me. He's done it for a long period of time, and that's hard to sustain. But can he be a solid, good linebacker for them? Yes. And, you know, it's not like they invested a ton of money into him. But he did fall off last year. For whatever reason, I don't know the answer to that as to why he did. He'd have to explain that. And maybe he doesn't even feel like he did. But I could tell you there were people on Tampa that felt like he did. And so it's up to him to try to get back to the level of play to help the Eagles win this season.
If you talk to, let's take this into the future. Let's say it's around Halloween, and you sat down and did a little conversation with Jalen Hurts, and you asked him, what is it that you love the most about Kellen Moore and this offense? What do you think Jalen Hurts' answer would be to you?
Well, I think ultimately it's going to come back to the winning, John, right? Like,
well, of course.
If he has a system that's going to allow them to win, but I think Kellen Moore likes to throw the football. I think he likes to throw some of the deep balls. I think that'll merge with a lot of what Jalen likes to do. And again, look, if Jalen Hurts is playing like Jalen Hurts 2022, then he's going to love Kellen Moore. If he's not, then it's going to be a question. So I just think however that is, whatever it takes, whatever it means, he's got to get Jalen Hurts back to being one of the best players in football, not to the guy that was struggling last year to where you're spending every waking moment of the show figuring out what's wrong with him and the team. And by the way, you ever notice how many announcements, unnecessary announcements there are on an airplane? Like
It's amazing, isn't it?
And tell that guy walking down the aisle that that's not a carry-on that he's trying to bring on.
This is the fifth announcement. We got everything we need to know. We know what's going on. Yeah, we know. Small device. We heard. We know all this, right? We know all this.
It's amazing, Schefter. All right, so every once in a while when we have you on, I love asking you about how the league looks at certain players. We've asked you about Jalen Hurts. We've asked you about A.J. Brown. I want to ask you about Dallas Goedert because Dallas Goedert has 2 years left on his contract. Next year will be his final year, and we know that sometimes 1 year left means it's time to start working on a contract or it's time to start thinking about where to go. Dallas Goedert, a guy that I think is extremely talented but may not have been used enough, and it's not his fault. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith as teammates. How is Dallas Goedert viewed around league circles?
You know, I think Dallas Goedert is a guy that's going to thrive in this offense. We've talked about the fact that in Kellen Moore's offense, I think he likes to throw the football to the running backs and the tight ends and feature them in the passing game. And Dallas got another announcement. We know, man. Okay, we know. Okay. We're continuing the boarding process. We got it. Okay, so basically, with Dallas Goedert, here's a guy that I think has potential that has yet to be realized. I think when you go around the Eagles organization and talk to them, they think he's a monster, and they think he's capable of having a huge year. And I think when you have that type of talent and that type of potential, and you put it in a system that likes to feature the tight end, I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a bigger year than he's had in recent years for the Eagles. I think he's going to be one of these guys that really steps up this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Last couple days, while these players have their freedom, what are some of the weird things you've heard from players or coaches that they do during this downtime? Yeah, have you heard any interesting stories? Guys doing crazy stuff?
No, I think everybody feels it, right? On the one hand, you're excited to get back. All you have to do is think of the feeling of back to school, right? What's it like when you're going back to school and you're excited to start the new year and meet your new teachers and see your friends, and you're also dreading it because you know all the work that's ahead. The same exact thing.
Because Andrew just got back from Lithuania.
Yes, I did.
And I don't know how many, coaches or players did an adventure like that.
Yeah, who knows? By the way, Schefter, I was in Lithuania, and I met 4 Lithuanian Eagles fans. They don't speak English. All right? So I said, go Birds 4 different times and never got a response. And I was upset because I was like, oh, you frauds, why are you wearing that shirt? I found out they didn't even speak English, so they didn't know what I was saying. How amazing is that?
They did know F Dallas.
Yes, they did not.
Those were the only 2 English words they did know.
What was the highlight of your trip to Lithuania?
Drinking a lot of beer and eating a lot of grandma's cooking. It was amazing. I'm very passionate about my heritage, Schefter. So I've been there 3 times now. But a lot of it. I mean, the sun doesn't set until like 10:30 at night, right? So you're experiencing daytime all day long, and it's a cool 70 degrees basically every single day out there during the summer. So that helps when it's not 95 like it is here.
Do you stay with your grandma when you're there, Andrew?
No, I meant like grandma's cooking in terms of everybody knows the recipes back there, and that every single restaurant has those kinds of recipes. So it was tremendous. So I had an absolute blast.
Now you have an event in Orlando tonight. Does that mean Magic Kingdom today, Epcot?
Again, we were on the phone a few weeks back. I was in Washington, meeting with legislators to raise awareness about screening for type 1 diabetes and raising awareness and funds and those kinds of things. And basically this is another function that's connected to type 1 diabetes, where there's it's a gala where they bring together a bunch of families who have people in their family with type 1 diabetes, and tonight to kind of offer encouragement, to tell them about living their best life. And then my wife is type 1 diabetic, and so I see firsthand what it's like, and it's a very difficult, challenging condition, and I watch her deal with it every day. And obviously, she bears the brunt of it, but it impacts everybody in the family. And so this gala tonight is to celebrate people with type 1 champions in their family, and just a continuation of some of the work that I've tried to do during the summer. But the gala's in Orlando tonight, and I'm flying down with one of my coworkers, and we were just talking like. They had a 7 a.m. flight, and they had a 1 p.m. flight. The 1 p.m. flight, if it's delayed at all, you're not going to be there on time. So you got to take the 7 a.m.
Sure.
So we're going to be there at 10 a.m. So we got like 3-4 hours of nothing. And I just said to her, I'm like, hey, maybe we should go over to Magic Kingdom and go on some of these rides. But I don't think there'll be enough time to do that. I'll just sit in the hotel and make some calls and do some work, I think, probably.
Well, I think it's beautiful, as busy you are, that you are still taking the time to doing this and making the early trip. And thank you for joining us early this morning, Schefter. We always enjoy our time with you. We can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Adam.
My apologies to John for getting up at 2:45. Glad I am alive, too. That's a good thing.
That was good.
We'll be back to the regular schedule next Wednesday.
Thank you, brother.
You're the man, Schefter. We appreciate it. There he is, Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, brought to us by our friends at Atlantis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at AtlantisBC.com. Coming up next, we'll react to some of our topics today, but also some of the stuff that Schefter said, expecting big things out of Dallas Goedert, which you have been saying since the Kellen Moore hiring.
That's because of all the video I've watched, because I'm such a dork.
So we'll talk more about that coming up next. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Wednesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitalico.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thank you to Adam Schefter for joining us last segment. If you're just tuning in, yes, Schefter joined us early. We will replay it at 8 o'clock today.
On his recommendation?
I was about to say per our decision, but he told Connor, hey, I don't want to produce for you guys, but you guys can replay us at 8 o'clock, so we're on the same wavelength as Schefter.
I think that the boss would probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, first he said replay it every segment for the rest of the show. I had to talk him down a little bit. I said, Adam, we love you. Hey, we got to get some other talk.
Probably still be better than whatever we're talking about.
Gentleman says to me here on DM, he goes, John, what are you afraid of getting a text in the middle of the night? Why would you think that's death?
No, that's a weird text.
Don't you think that's weird? Like, now the thing is, though, Connor, you're a single man, and you're a younger man.
Easy there, Johnny.
When you get to my age, you absolutely
you don't want that text
because I immediately think something's up with Liv.
Right.
So I worried that something's up with my daughter.
Yeah, if I get a text at 2 a.m., I don't think someone's dead.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
You're thinking someone's live.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. That's
no
good.
further comments.
Congratulations on your success, Connor.
Appreciate it.
Now, I find this funny. So, one of our topics today is trying to put things to bed. And this stems off of
no pun intended after our last
about
conversation.
That? This stems off of Emmanuel Acho on his Fox Sports show saying that Jalen Hurts, first off, the main topic was whether you would take Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts, and he said Dak Prescott. And his reason being is even though Jalen Hurts has had more playoff success, he does not believe he's the reason why the Eagles won the games against the Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. But then he also wouldn't give him any credit for how well he played against the Kansas City Chiefs. Despite the Eagles losing, Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field that day. So we get a tweet from Nick Sirianni's tier, the tier from that Super Bowl. Remember that? That was a big tier. That was no Sean Moreno-esque. So B. Gunn posted our question about putting things to bed and then posted the video of us talking about Jalen Hurts. And Nick Sirianni's tier responds, oh, now you guys have Jalen's back.
What?
I could have sworn that he was an egotistical, selfish, team-destroying monster who hates his head coach and his teammates all hate him.
We've never said any of those things.
When was that said? I do believe there's something between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts that needs to be worked on.
I believe he has been passive-aggressive. I've said that. I believe that he will not just get whatever's going on with his head coach, frickin' fix it.
Yes.
I've said that. Never once. I told you that, and I've said it over and over again, I look at Jalen Hurts, and I think of that Super Bowl performance in a loss.
Right.
I think of his performance every bit as much as I think of Nick Foles in a win. I really do.
I mean, he was tremendous.
I think he was tremendous.
Yeah.
He was like the video game, quarterback.
He was.
Everything was beautiful, and it was clutch, and it was everything that I could want. But you know what I'm not going to do, Nick Sirianni's tier?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put on the cheerleader outfit for you, shake the pom-poms, and say everything you want to hear is great.
Right.
Because it's not. It's not.
And the Jalen Hurts,
it's
a two-way street. It's not just Hurts. Like Sirianni has to work on too, clearly.
They got to work this out. They got to work this out. I've never heard Nick Sirianni be in any way passive-aggressive towards his quarterback.
Right.
And by the way, Nick Sirianni had an open microphone 4 times a week every time last year where he could have taken numerous opportunities to say the quarterback needs to be a lot better than he's playing right now.
He always had
and
his
he
back.
always had the guy's back. I think there's a mutual covering of the ass that should go on in that situation.
I think so.
Someone has your back, had their back, but behind closed doors, well, then have a discussion.
Well, yeah, and they can do whatever they need to
Just
do
get
behind
over
closed
it.
doors.
Come on.
But nobody's saying that he's an egotistical,
No.
selfish, team-destroying monster who hates his head coach and his teammates all hate him.
Now, there may be people that are saying that in sports radio, again, much like Emmanuel Acho for clicks.
Right, exactly. And
They might be doing
that's
that.
what started this topic today. Emmanuel Acho saying that Jalen Hurts did not do anything in the wins or was not the reason why they won those playoff games. And that's one of the things I want to put to bed today. Jalen Hurts may not have been the reason. The reason may have been Hassan Reddick knocking out Brock Purdy in that playoff game. Like, that may have been the reason. But to take away what Jalen Hurts did when he had the ball in his hands and not making a single mistake, and as you said brilliantly, John, everybody gives Brock Purdy credit for not making mistakes.
Correct.
Jalen Hurts didn't make any mistakes in that game. He kept his foot on the throats of the 49ers. He kept his foot on the throats of the New York Giants in the round prior, and that led to them winning those football games, and then he balled his ass off in the Super Bowl, and they unfortunately lost it. So coming up next, we'll get to more of these. I know we have some texts coming in. I know the show's been a little different today because of the Adam Schefter 6:30 hit. So we'll get back to our regular scheduled programming coming up next. You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. We've also been talking about the Phillies today, a tremendous win yesterday. Does that put you at ease from the Braves series? And does it just put you at ease when you see a major league lineup out there and see what they can do? So we'll have more of our discussions on our topics today. Also coming up next, Kayla Martin and Andre Drummond both joined Bob and Amy yesterday. We'll play some clips from it. And you have statistics that can tell us today whether or not the Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Good Wednesday morning to you. So, Adam Schefter joined us earlier in the show at 6:30. We will replay that coming up at 8 o'clock. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas. We have a lot in store for you. And later this segment, I'm going to play some of the audio from Caleb Martin and Andre Drummond, who joined Bob and Amy yesterday. And there's a clip that I'll play for you at some point this hour that will make you fall in love with Caleb Martin right away.
Okay,
even if you never played it and watched a second of him play, you'll fall in love with him.
High praise.
Oh, yeah.
That's high praise. That you better deliver on that one.
I will deliver on that one. I promise you that. But if you're just tuning in, here's what we got going on today. Phillies with a just dominant win against the Dodgers yesterday, 10-1. That we talked a little bit about it before Schefter. The Bryson Stott home run was a missile, and that Trey Turner home run was a thing of beauty. That guy has just been everything that you signed him for. It's a shame how bad it was at points last year. But, dude, he's batting .342. I'll ask this. If this continues, I know he missed some time. Like, when do you start putting him into the MVP conversation?
Tell me what trajectory. Tell me, if you guessed right now, is Bryce Harper going to play 145 games?
Probably not. Maybe 135 to 140.
Then I think Turner will be right there in the discussion. If Harper,
he's batting .342.
If Harper ends up playing, if Harper plays 145, just misses 17, 20 games, he might be hard to catch if the numbers with Harper continue on the trajectory there.
Now, the only thing that obviously takes away from Turner is it's only 8 home runs after last night and 27 RBI, where Bryce Harper's probably going to finish around 100.
And that's why I say it's got to be.
But he deserves votes, right?
Yeah.
I don't want him to take away from Harper votes, though.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean? He doesn't have to get
he can get fourth place votes or third place votes or whatever. But I mean, this guy has been tremendous this season. It's a shame that he got hurt, but man, when he came back from the injury, I think we were all kind of waiting for him to maybe ease himself back in. His batting average is higher than what it was before he got hurt.
He is, more importantly, you expect and you go out and you invest in great players like this, and you expect them to be great when other players are down. Such respect for what he's done, because somebody else could say, oh, he's squeezing the bat a little tight because he has all these expectations on his shoulders.
Right.
He is lit. Look, for a guy who's a little more slight, he's got broad shoulders.
And it's amazing. You bring up the expectations thing. I know you and I, and Connor, you might as well. I know you try to pretend like you are a player in that locker room.
Yes.
All right.
We scoff at it when we hear they signed that big contract, now there's more pressure on them. I think we scoff at it because we go, really? You're getting paid $300 million to play a children's game, to play the sport of baseball? But maybe there was something to it. I mean, yeah, I had Larry Boa on in spring training, and I was like, hey, do you think Turner bounces back this year? We see more of that 2-month stretch? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Once you sign that big contract, there's added pressure. Nick Castellanos defended Trey Turner last year. He said, I just went through this last year after I signed my big contract. Maybe we don't give guys enough. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, John.
Well, that's not the argument that I thought was stupid. The stupid argument I felt was you got to take the time to adjust to your new city and your new team.
Right.
I was like, shush.
Yeah, but even the money thing, we scoff at it. We go, oh, I'm so sorry that you're generational wealth. I say it, right? I'm serious.
Yeah, dude.
I do it.
They're still the same. Mentally, you react to stuff the same way. It's easier from our perspective, but when you're in it, everybody goes through this. When you see someone dealing with a problem that isn't as serious as they think it is, you can never tell them, yo, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Because if we were in that situation, it would be a big deal to us.
Right.
It's very hard to put yourself mentally in the shoes of people, and it's a different problem, but it has the same reaction to you mentally.
But is that... Why is it happening here? Castellanos...
The same, not the same.
Yes. Because that's what these guys know, John. They've always been professional ball players. This is their life. They don't have the perspective of, I went from making whatever as a radio producer to now I make $300 million.
Right.
Exactly. It's just scaled up.
Well,
but your reaction is the same.
Not going to
you're not getting that contract.
Right, you never know, baby.
No, but I would just say, Connor, you make a good point, but I tell you, though, is that and it's a character flaw, and I own it, but I roll my eyes I roll my eyes when I hear people talk about they'll be complaining about some struggle that they're having.
Right.
And I'm like, dude,
You don't know struggle.
you don't understand.
And
you
maybe,
don't understand.
maybe that's wrong
and
with
it
us.
makes no, it is. No, it is
It's
wrong.
100%.
Because we don't understand their struggle.
But
Like,
I'm
we
saying
don't.
is I do try to make things though in severity, to put things in perspective, and I have had a real problem with perspective with people sometimes, and I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you're fretting about today.
Right.
What you're worried about. Like it's just is. My wife totaled my car once. She backed into my car
Right.
and caved in the side of a car. Like
Okay.
caved in the side doors, knocked it
backing
in,
in quickly,
and
it
she
seems.
didn't total it, but it was disaster. And it was a car that had like 4,000 miles. And I came out of the house and I laughed.
Yeah.
And my daughter was a little girl, and she still remembers every time Christina will give me crap about something that is minor. My daughter goes, Mom, what did Dad do when
destroyed
you
the car?"
destroyed his brand new car?
Right.
He came out, he laughed, he gave you a hug and a kiss.
Yeah. But
Like she still remembers that.
you handle it differently than
And-
others.
right,
And look, it's not every
I get
single
you.
player.
No,
Like
it's
we've
not,
seen other
right.
players, like Bryce Harper got the big contract, and he's been everything is advertised since he got here.
from the day he got here.
But then you have
Zach Wheeler.
But sometimes
Zach
we
Wheeler
make-
came in here and delivered every single dollar.
Right.
And we never heard about transitioning to his new town and all that kind of stuff, because I think it is roll your eyes to me.
To me, I do. I roll my eyes at it, and maybe that's wrong.
And that
of
might
me.
not
It
be fair.
absolutely is wrong of you guys.
But I like sometimes people make the excuse for it too. Like
Well-
Jalen Hurts last year got the big contract, struggled. A lot of people go, "Well, hold on, he just got the big contract." And my response to a fan that makes that excuse, I go, "That's ridiculous. I don't care that he got paid more money. He didn't get paid more money to then to do less. He
And
got paid more
Right.
money to be as successful, if not better."
And his life got easier.
Well,
No,
they'll
anyone-
they'll
anyone-
tell
any-
you he had to do more commercials.
Yeah, I
he had
get
to
you.
do this, he had to do that.
Everybody who tries to spin to you that how much harder their money. No,
Yeah.
that's not true.
I had a great professor in college one time, psychology, tell me this: mo money, mo problems. And listen, it is a tenet in life that's used a lot of places.
I got to tell you, I think it is an absolute fallacy and a load of bull.
I would much
pucky.
rather have more money.
Right. I mean, to me, you never have it. If you don't have money, it worries. Life is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I just don't think we could we can't
Like
mentally
Connor,
comprehend.
I just went to Lithuania, had to spend a decent amount of
Right,
money to travel, right? Cooper got sick the last 2 days, and I basically wasted or lost the last day of my trip.
Right.
If I had no problems with money, I go,
I'll go back again in a couple
I
of weeks.
understand.
I basically teared up, like, really? My last day in my happy place that I spent a lot of hard-earned money on to get to just got wasted.
I
You just
understand.
hold it against him when he's a teenager.
Oh, I absolutely will. I
Like,
held it against them that day. Screw
Absolutely.
you, kid. Come
But
on, toughen up.
It's not just like they got a $20,000 raise. With that money comes more fame, more responsibility. A lot of that's when you're the franchise quarterback
Oh, I know.
in dollar amount, not just in like you play as the franchise quarterback. That's a weight on you. Here's the thing, though, because some athletes will use it to absolve them of poor play for just poor play's sake or effort. And that's ridiculous. Like going out and doing your job every day, going out and trying your best every day. That's when I won't do the, I'm making this much amount of money and it's so much pressure on me. But the guys in this city who it's been brought up about, I think they're valid claims. Trey Turner, Jalen Hurts, like it's a life change for these guys.
And look, I'm not trying to attack. Because we're
discussion
actually
on it.
celebrating that Trey Turner's hitting freaking 340 this year. Like it's amazing. Why is it like, oh, it's okay because it's been hard on them, but when Bryce Harper has no issue, right? Joel Embiid has had no issue since getting the max contract, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they ball out, and how come we don't give them more credit for saying, wow, ever since they got paid, they keep on playing?
Maybe
we just
we
want to
should.
defend the players that do struggle after they get paid.
You make up a point, Connie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do more of that.
Like, think about, and I think Bryce Harper, Joel Embiid, I think they do deserve that. The pressure of expectations, especially Bryce Harper. I know who Joel Embiid is in the postseason. I know the criticisms there. I think they're valid. But Bryce Harper's rose to every occasion. He's been everything for this franchise. He's recruited more players in big spots in the postseason. He's there. Like, this has been the guy coming to a franchise to change it from a 10-year playoff drought to, hey, we're going to be contenders. That's amazing, dude. People don't do that. Look at Machado in San Diego. like did not remotely do that. There are guys across baseball that get these big contracts every year that do not transform franchises the way Bryce Harper does.
That's a good point. So we should give him more credit for it.
Absolutely.
So while we defend the players who struggle after they get the big contract, we should celebrate the players that succeed after getting the big contract.
And one thing that I think that us putting this show together have tried to do, but I think sometimes we even fail in it, is celebrating enough. And I think that's to Connor's point, is that sometimes we don't celebrate enough the little victories.
Right.
The things that are, like today. It's freaking great. And I love the fact that I come into work in the morning and it's like, it was 10-1 last night.
Yeah.
Wasn't that awesome? Even last night in the group text, that was awesome. 10-1 last night. That was fantastic.
I mean, today's main topic was stemming off of an Eagles-related topic because that's Sports Talk Radio.
Sure.
I couldn't not start the show talking about the Phillies.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to celebrate a 10-1 beatdown of one of the other best teams in baseball, by the way.
And to me, that's something that we strive to be better at, and I think we do a pretty damn good job of it.
I agree.
Honestly. But we definitely, it's an agenda item. It's something you have to try to do and focus to do.
Right.
In our industry, too much of it is not about that.
You're absolutely right. All right, you can text in. You can call in 610-632-0975. Our main topics today, just general Phillies discussion after a beatdown of the Dodgers last night. And what is something that you're trying to put to bed? And this stems off of Emmanuel Acho. Let's play the clip one more time, Connor. Here's Emmanuel Acho yesterday talking about Jalen Hurts and how he doesn't give him the credit for the wins against the Giants and the 49ers in the playoffs 2 years ago.
I don't think Jalen Hurts has ever been the reason his team has won a playoff game. Go back and look at it. He's never been the reason his team has won a playoff game. He had 188 yards in the win versus the Giants. The Giants have 7 points. They win without Jalen Hurts. The Niners, all their quarterbacks was hurt. It was Jalen Hurts versus Christian McCaffrey. He had 160 yards in that game. The Niners had 7 points. They win without Jalen Hurts.
I want to put that to bed. Jalen Hurts may not have been the reason why they won those 2 games, but he was a big part of it. Like,
Correct.
It almost sounded like he was being disrespectful toward Jalen Hurts.
He makes it sound like Jalen Hurts had nothing to do with them winning those playoff games. He was coming back from injury, and more importantly, do you remember immediately tearing the Giants' hearts out
Absolutely.
on the very first pass attempt?
Yeah, right away.
It was like a 45-yard gain through the air. He threw a perfect bomb.
Yeah. He made it seem like the Gardner Minshew could step in there and win argument that Chris Sims was making that year.
Yeah, I mean,
this is 2 years later, and we're still having this conversation. Like, it's amazing, and that's why I want to try to put that to bed.
Right. Exactly.
So I know we have a text on that topic today. Connor, what do we have on the text line? Good morning to our texters.
They say good morning back. And
I like
Wayne
that.
from Kentucky checks in and says, I want to put to bed the idea that Andy Reid's tenure in Philadelphia was a failure because he never delivered a Super Bowl. I truly believe that his time put this Eagles team on the map and consistent relevancy that in the long run set us up in position to win the franchise's first Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's the greatest coach in Eagles franchise history, even though Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl.
It's not even, to me, it's not close.
It's not
Are
close.
we all in agreement on that one then?
Yes.
Yeah, to me, it's not close.
All right, so we put that one to bed.
I like that.
Let's go to the phones, then I'm going to play you some Sixers audio. Let's go to T-Love. What up, T-Love? How you doing this morning?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Good morning. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Let me just say, first of all, any text that comes at midnight will never get answered, never get seen, none of that.
So wait a minute. What about the next morning,
You
though?
don't know that, man.
What about the next morning? Do you not respond to them?
Okay, listen. I'm going to say it again. Let me finish. Late night texts for my generation, okay? I'm way past 20, 30, and 40, and 50. So my generation, okay, text message. First of all, I don't like getting text messages. If you can't call me, there's something so impersonal about a text message. I don't like to get texts. A late night phone call makes me piss in the bed. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Late night phone calls are most. All right, let me get out of that. Okay, borrowing some syntax from you younger guys. WTF is whoever this guy is that you're talking about. I don't even remember his name.
Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah, who is he?
Hey, former Eagle, man.
Former Eagle, too.
Of what standard? You know what I'm saying?
Well, not very good standard, but, Chris Sims talks about the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not a former garbage player.
He played linebacker 2 years.
What does that mean? What does that mean? There's a former garbage player assessing the status of our superstar quarterback. Now, let me get to the next topic, okay? You have said before, and you guys, I wish I could quote this. I wish I could pull it up, punch it up. You guys have stated before that Jalen Hurts has always benefited from being in a system for 2 years. Ergo, when he was in the system for 2 years, what did they do the second year? They went to the Super Bowl. He had an MVP season. After that season, okay, they changed everything, and those guys deserve to get a chance to go out. Those two OCs, they deserve the chance to go out and make a name for themselves. But now that puts our quarterback, a young quarterback, still, he's not a seasoned veteran.
T-Love, you got to take a break
in the NFL, man.
And more importantly, yes.
And thanks for the call, T-Love. We got to go.
To T-Love's point, what I've seen is that two quarterbacks, he's had two different quarterbacks. Oh, and then he had Andy Dalton step in.
Yeah.
For him in his career, Kellen Moore. Those quarterbacks have not needed a big ramp-up period to handle his offense.
Are we really going to give be patient with Hurts?
Well, that better not be happening. That better not be happening.
By the way, he turns 26.
That should not be happening.
In less than a month. In the NFL, 26 is, obviously quarterbacks, we've seen Brady play till he's 40. But, the whole he's still young thing.
Okay.
Bro, I don't care about age, dude.
Yeah, man,
is he technically still young? Sure. But if anyone's looking at Jalen Hurts as, he's got time still.
This is his fifth season. Fourth as a starter.
And I'm going to tell you, you know what? Tomorrow I'll just bring the homework and I'll show you. He does not, other quarterbacks.
Right.
And I can point to 3 that stepped in with him as an offensive coordinator. They did not need a huge runway to start seeing success, to start seeing improvement in their numbers. So I don't want to hear any excuses about a new offensive coordinator. That's ridiculous. Let's not talk about that. He's 26. Freaking do the work and come. And I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to try to make the excuse either.
No, absolutely
I think he's going to love it. And that's why I asked the question today of Adam Schefter. What do you think he's going to love the most? And look, he's going to be able to. They're going to use the deep ball strategically, and they will throw it deep in many games to soften you up,
right?
And then start chewing you up in the under stuff, and then bang you again.
And look, he'll be coached to do it. To T Love's point, right? Like Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni, whoever you want to blame, because I know there's still discourse on that.
There's very few people arguing the other side.
Like the underneath stuff needs to be coached sometimes. Like, you need to get into the ear of the quarterback and say, hey, the check down is available. And so I'm excited for Saquon Barkley to be not just utilized in the running game, but also in the passing game. I'm excited for Kenneth Gainwell to be utilized more in the passing game because that's what he's better at, more so than the rushing attack. I can't wait for Dallas Goedert this year.
I saw in the beauty of one of the sound bites, and it was a Sunday night football game, and Collinsworth goes, the beauty of the Kellen Moore offense is that what other teams consider the second, third option check down is the play call.
Right.
And he starts catching people off guard.
That's great.
Because he's willing to say, yeah, we'll take a 4-yard gain here on a pass play. And that'll be the first hit, quick hit stuff. We'll take a 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
We'll go into 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5.
Forward, not backward.
So he says the beauty of it is that what other people consider a check down in Kellen Moore's offense,
is the
it might
play.
be the play.
I love that.
I like it too.
All right, so here's the deal. Coming up next, I'm going to play you some of the audio from Caleb Martin and Andre Drummond, who joined Bob and Amy yesterday. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will fall in love with Caleb Martin based off of one of the clips. Now, we're going to play 2 clips from Caleb Martin. One, you will scratch your head at. I think he's saying the right thing, but you will scratch your head at. The next one, you will fall in love with the guy. And also, Andre Drummond spoke. He clearly never wanted to leave. I wonder how he feels about Ben Simmons. We'll talk about that coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Wednesday morning right here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big win for the Phillies.
8:30 on Kincade and Salciunas on this Wednesday morning. I keep on refraining from saying beautiful, as you've told me during the breaks.
Yeah, because there's nothing beautiful about this feisty weather we're having.
It's horrible outside. When I'm walking to my car, again, we're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sweating just walking to the car when it's
awful
dark
in
out.
the morning.
Yeah, it's like that's terrible.
I wish Comcast could fix that.
Oh, they trust me. They'll probably find a way to fix it at some point. Yeah, they'll figure it out. Don't you worry. So yeah, we got some special guests that we're going to get to in a couple of minutes that I can't wait to talk to you guys about, because it's also near and dear to my heart because of the partnership that's been going on between us and Comcast for basically my entire time here at the station, which is pretty exciting. But I don't want to make you guys wait much longer for this. Something that I've been teasing as this show's been going on. Caleb Martin, one of our newest Sixers, was on with Bob and Amy yesterday. And I just want to play this clip for you because it's something that should excite everybody, and you will right away fall in love with this guy. I don't know how many Caleb Martin jerseys are going to be selling when you have Maxine and Embiid and Paul George, but here's Caleb Martin talking about playing in Philadelphia, and right away he's going to become a fan favorite because this guy just freaking gets it.
But again, like you said, is like just being a part of something special and being a part of that winning culture and being a part of something that's bigger than yourself is something that's that definitely wants to draw you in.
All right, sorry, that was cut 1, which that was the head scraching one.
Okay.
Here's cut 3, Connor, talking about playing in Philly.
Just the environment, just the atmosphere of the fans and the way this city backs their teams, and and just the type of good pressure it is to play well in a city like this. I think it's a privilege, to be able to be under that type of, I would say, pressure, but it's a good type of pressure and it's a fun type of pressure, and I think that only raises your level of play and attitude and approach to the game. So that it did really excite me to be able to be a part of something like this at a time like this.
How often do you hear a guy talking about good pressure?
I love the idea of good pressure.
That's
I love
a great
the idea.
answer.
Yeah, and more importantly, he's somebody who I take it, my ears perk up a bit because Caleb Martin has showed us in his career on multiple playoff appearances.
Yeah.
He's shown us that his level of game is actually raised in those type of pressure situations.
Right.
And I told you the other day, digging on him, trying to learn more about him, I'm hearing the Boston Celtics brag on him and talk about him and talk about how an incredible, a fighter he is.
Right.
To me, that means he understands exactly what this city is going to demand, and he embraces it.
And I love
from
that he
day one.
embraces it because think about it. He's coming off of his first 2 years of his NBA career was in Charlotte. There's nobody there. Nobody's going to Charlotte Hornets games. And I know the Miami Heat, there is a winning culture. Like the Miami Heat basketball
they do
is
have a winning
thing.
culture.
But nobody shows up till halftime.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine he's going to be stepping into the Wells Fargo Center for his first game wearing a Sixers jersey, and it's going to be a packed house.
It's going to be
It's going Right.
It's going to be like every night is going to get routine to that.
And I'm glad that excites him, and I'm sure that's going to make him a fan favorite right away, a guy that just absolutely gets before even stepping on the court for the first time in a Sixers jersey. We're going to talk to you guys more in a minute. You can text in, call in the show, 610-632-0975. And earlier today, we had Adam Schefter on. He was on the Comcast Business Hotline.
Because every day in business is a big day, and Comcast Business gets you ready for what's
It
next.
sounds like you've done that before. So
Once or twice.
If you've been watching our shows on YouTube recently, you see these nice new monitors that we have behind us that have the names of the show, and it says the Comcast Business Studios. You also see that with Bob and Amy during the midday show. You also see it with the best show ever, and that's on NBC Sports Philadelphia, not just our YouTube feed. So our partnership with Comcast is continuing to grow.
So as long as you've been here, so in the 4 years I've been here, I've seen the Comcast, the relationship between the stations.
Yes.
But you've seen it since when you were an intern.
Yeah, so I'm in year 10 here at 97.5 The Fanatic, and I've been very happy about this partnership that Comcast has had here at the station. And now, of course, we got the official studio naming rights partner, which is amazing. And I want to welcome Mike and Jennifer from the Comcast team who are joining us today. Good morning. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Andrew. Good morning, John. Great to be here.
Mike's a O'Hara grad too, so show a little extra respect.
I got
little extra respect.
Do I have to bow down to you?
No, it's all right.
Because he talks about this Cardinal O'Hara stuff all the time.
I don't know.
It's, like the king went there.
I don't know where Jennifer went to school, but I hope it's as high a standard.
Well, I'm a cousin, actually. I went to Bishop Conwell.
Okay, well, that's fine. Then you are a cousin.
So is that allowed?
No, that's a cousin. Yeah, that's a cousin.
Because I don't know what the beefs are. I'm a Jersey public school kid, all right? So I don't know what these things are.
The only beef is with Bonner. The only
Monsignor
beef's with
Bonner.
Bonner.
That's the only one?
Bonner Middle School is the only grief that we've got.
Yeah.
So there's no problem
They
otherwise.
tried to get into O'Hara. They ended up at Bonner.
Their parents,
Okay, so it's the fallback school.
Their parents didn't love them as much. You know, it's
Love
just
that.
how it is.
So thanks for coming in today. I love that we have this partnership. I love that I've been basically a part of this partnership for forever. I mean, being able to say the Comcast Business Hotline once I started getting an opportunity to crack the mic was cool for me, right? Because I've heard so many hosts in the past doing it. But thanks for being a part of this. Thank you so much. We love it. Talk about some of the great things that we got going on, the great things that Comcast have. I love that you guys are a local company. I mean, that's one of our favorite things. We love local stuff. So let's talk about the Comcast brand a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for having us here today. And as you said, Andrew, we've enjoyed a 10-plus year relationship, with the Fanatic, with Beasley Media Group. Matt Cowper, great guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Great
let's not
partnership.
stretch the truth.
A little stretch there
Too
for
much.
the radio. But at the end of the day, the Comcast Business Hotline and now the naming rights to the studio, the relationship continues to grow. And at the end of the day, just being a local company like Comcast Business, like the Fanatic, focused on the community, providing great services, we're just happy to be part of it. So thank you for having us today.
The idea of Comcast, though, it's a company that honestly is a part of so many people's lives in so many ways that you don't realize how much we've become dependent.
Yeah.
On whether it's the internet service, whether it's, you're using it for your home television or otherwise. It's a company that continually, 10 years ago, it didn't look anything like this.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving.
Oh, yeah. I've been with the company for 12 years, and it has changed so much in that time. But we're part of the community, every community that we're in. But Philadelphia is so special and so different because, of course, it's our headquarters. We've been in Philadelphia for 60 years. So, as you were leading in and talking about how special it is in Philadelphia and how you have to bring your game a little different, that's true for us, too. The hometown fans can be amazing. They can also be tough. Their expectations are high. Especially imagine you're, a small restaurant owner in Philadelphia. You're a tough customer, and we are here to serve and set up to always be reliable, always be there. Have a technician out in a minute if there happens to be an issue. And we're just thrilled with our partnership with Beasley in general. Matt, like Mike said, you guys are just amazing. So we're happy to be here.
And John mentioned how dependent we are on internet. So I had some internet issues a couple of weeks ago and had nothing to do with you guys. It was a rodent got under and got the wires and ate through, and my internet went out, right? It was like
You would have thought that he didn't have water and air conditioning.
Right. I got a 2-year-old home that needs to watch Blippi, right? I gotta watch the games, right? My wife needs to scroll Instagram, and you realize how dependent you are on it. Like I get it, you don't always have to be on your Wi-Fi, but there's spotty areas in the house, right? And with the Comcast internet, I'm good to go. And then, I made the phone call, and before you know it, somebody was coming out to my house to
During the
take care of
show,
it.
you were showing me that you got the.
I was,
He went out and made the
you
call.
used the app? Did you use the app?
I did use the app.
And then
You
he
can
gets,
download
and
that
he's
app.
getting the notice, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I got to get out of here right after the show because they're coming in. They're going to be there by the time I got to get
And
right
turns
home."
out I didn't even have to get home because it was all outside. It's not like they needed me to open the door. They just did the work. I got home and the work was done already. I got home in quickly because I wanted to make sure that I was home for the technician. I got home there. He was like, "No, you're all good. We're done." I mean, it was that quick.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And our technicians are amazing. And, we have this huge group of technicians, which is something that makes us different from other kind of technology providers. If you have a problem, we can get a person out to your house and we can help you.
Yeah, and think about it for a business, right? So if you're a major healthcare provider in the city or a pizza shop in South Philly trying to run your business, your internet goes down. It's how you react, how you take care of that customer, and that's what we pride ourselves on. So we not only provide those internet services, we're now into mobile services. So Comcast Business Mobile has taken off, and we really can provide customized solutions for businesses of any size in the area, and we continue to grow and have great relationships with folks like yourself.
By the way, with the home internet, my wife starts the oven when she's at the store.
Oh, is that right?
My wife adjusts.
That's awesome.
My wife adjusts the thermostats all the time. We came home from a trip just the other night. She's like, "Okay, time to take the thermostat down from 78 to 75, cool off the house before we get home."
Yeah, of course.
And that's all relying on internet.
Yeah,
That's all reliant running your home.
Yeah, it's amazing what the technology can do, and it's ever changing, right? So Comcast Business, innovative company. We're always thinking ahead. We're planning for businesses' futures and making sure that we have the right technology to keep them running, growing, et cetera. So it's a great place to be.
It's great, and I'm glad that this partnership continues. Thank you so much for doing this. Mike and Jennifer, thank you for coming on the air. Lou decided to stay in the back. He was taking the videos. As the director of marketing, so he's got to take the videos back there. You did a great job. I mean, look, these look beautiful.
Lou does a great job of looking busy, too, doesn't he?
He does.
Anytime he comes around, he really does a really...
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Matt
very much.
Cowper is a good man, too.
I just wanted to give one quick plug because the most exciting thing that's coming up for us is the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
And we are proud sponsors of Team USA. And, Xfinity is going to provide the best seat in the house on the best network. And you're going to be able to catch every minute of every medal or just, what you're most interested in. We're going to make it easy to find in all of that content.
And there's short video clips again. Do they have those where you can see those, which is great?
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. You guys will be able to watch it here at home. So make sure you catch it.
You guys are the best. Thank you
Thanks,
so
John.
much
Thanks,
for coming
Andrew.
by. We appreciate it. All right, we continue the conversation coming up next. We'll get back to more of the Sixers talk. Caleb Martin and Andre Drummond, who joined Bob and Amy yesterday, and it was amazing some of the things that they said. And I told you, you'd fall in love with Caleb Martin right away. But I do want to play the winning culture clip one more time. And just, we'll discuss it a little bit because he is coming from a winning culture. Maybe we should just celebrate that you're getting a player from a winning culture that might be able to instill it more here in Philadelphia. You can text in, you can call in 610-632-0975. If you missed Adam Schefter earlier today, who joined us at 6:30 because of some flight scheduling issues, we'll replay that coming up again at 8 o'clock. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincade and Salciunas.
Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic. Would you agree that we've talked more Phillies today than Eagles?
Yes, we have talked more Phillies than Eagles, and for good reason. It was a 10-1 win last night, which was delicious.
I just wanted to ask that question.
Just
because we tweet out one video about an Eagles topic, and it's the entire show.
I gotta tell you.
No,
I'm going to tell you again.
No,
yes.
Stop trying to be Big Brother.
I'm going to tell you again, as your big brother.
My adopted big brother.
Exactly. Don't let the trolls get in your head.
What?
You know what you're doing, and you're fine.
I've been gone for a week, John. I missed my trolls.
It's like,
all right, I'm back, baby.
The thing is, you appreciate anyone who listens, but don't worry about the person who, because that's someone who obviously isn't listening.
I must have missed like the majority of the show
correct.
today.
Exactly. So.
By the way, I forgot to bring this up. Paul Reed rejoining Tobias Harris with the Detroit Pistons.
That's a monster team. I mean, when are you buying your first Pistons jersey?
Cade Cunningham gets his extension. He gets his max. Tobias Harris and Paul Reed. That's a big three right there.
I'm going to tell you,
Tobias and B-ball Paul.
I'm going to tell you that I feel I got to spend a little time with Paul Reed on 2 occasions. I am rooting like hell for him to make this work. It didn't work here.
Are you rooting like hell for Tobias Harris?
No, I do. I really do like Tobias Harris.
I know
too.
they're both very nice people.
But
I don't root for them. They're not here anymore. I don't root for them.
No, I will. No, I will.
That's nice of you.
I will be thrilled to see them. I hope they have some success.
No, I don't. You know why? Because then I'm going to hear, you see, this is why they should never have gotten rid of Paul Reed.
I root for Paul Reed because he doesn't have like that life-changing career money from the NBA yet.
He's got $30 million.
Tobias Harris, though, sorry. That dude doesn't need Connor Thomas to root for him.
No.
He will be just fine.
All because of his paycheck?
Yeah, dude.
So this is contrary to your argument before.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
It's contrary to it. Is that I don't care how much. You know what it is? It's just look, I understand. There's players you don't want to. It didn't work out here with Tobias, and I don't think Tobias ever had that assassin scorer thing that his father tried to, and he'll have it in him. But I don't think Tobias Harris was a dog. I don't think he was a dog.
He was in the playoffs.
I don't think he was just collecting a paycheck. But I'll tell you this, in the playoffs, I think you make a really great point.
I'm still waiting for the thank you Philadelphia post, by the way.
Yes.
Do you think that's coming? Will Tobias Harris I think that he will, because I think he's smart enough to. But I'm surprised it hasn't come out yet.
We got the thank you Tobias Instagram post from the Sixers.
No, but will Tobias put out a post thanking the Philadelphia and the fans and blah,
I believe
blah.
he will.
I believe he will
too.
And because Tobias Harris was one of the most selfless workers and did stuff in the community. And also, I can tell you, there's 2 businesses that we use on a monthly basis that Tobias also uses.
Yeah.
And they adore him.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He was horrible in the playoffs.
No, there's no argument.
I don't want Mr. Rogers starting at the 4.
There's no argument about that. I'm thrilled he's not playing for the Sixers either.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely still going to root for him.
It could be a wonderful day in the neighborhood somewhere else.
Yeah.
I want basketball
You
wins.
guys could root for Paul Reed as I sit here going, yeah.
I do like to be Paul.
I told you so.
There you go.
Guy doesn't know how to play basketball. All right, so we are going to replay our Adam Schefter conversation in about 10 minutes to start the 8 o'clock hour. But I want to play some more of these clips. So Caleb Martin, we played it, but it wasn't the one that we meant to play.
My bad.
That's okay. Here's Caleb Martin, one of the first things he said with Bob and Amy yesterday on what drew him coming to Philly. And remember, he turned down like $15 million extra to come here to Philadelphia.
He did. And that's all guaranteed. It's NBA money.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, is like just being a part of something special and being a part of that winning culture and being a part of something that's bigger than yourself is something that's that definitely wants to draw you in.
I love that answer.
It's a great answer. Is it true?
Yes.
The Sixers have a winning culture?
No. I think he's looking at what they've built.
Correct.
And he wanted to be a part of it. And that tells me that a guy says, "Oh, wait a minute now. I think the Sixers have the pieces now,
right,
that I can come there and I can do it." The Sixers do not have a winning culture.
No, but you know what? He's coming from Miami that does. And I'm hoping that Caleb Martin can come here and instill some of a winning culture in here. Remember P.J. Tucker was brought in to, getting the rear end of some of the players, right? Maybe Caleb Martin can come here and not be the guy that's yelling in the face of somebody, but he comes in here and all of a sudden he's the guy that brings a little bit of a culture. Hey, what did you guys do in Miami that worked so well?
I read a piece where a little blurb in one of the blogs from Miami that was it was an older one, but it was that during the playoffs 2 years ago that he was spotting things. They gave the players DVDs, they gave them video clips to prepare for the Boston series. And that Caleb Martin went to Eric Spoelstra and said, by the way, I noticed this.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I noticed this. And Eric Spoelstra mentioned in a press conference, boy, I think he'd be a damn good coach someday.
Right.
And so this is a guy who it shows is detail-oriented.
And one of the clips that we're not playing, they asked him about starting or coming off the bench, and he said, look, as long as I'm on the court at the end, because that's when it matters most.
That's what it matters about, yeah.
He doesn't care about starting or coming off the bench, which, look, some guys feel a certain type of way. Well, Tyrese Maxey did not really like coming off the bench.
And I remember Bob talking about the fact is, in the NBA, I was like, well, why wouldn't you just not start Tobias?
Yeah.
And he said, John, you got to understand.
There's unwritten rules.
In the NBA, there are these, like, you got to start. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. And Bob's not he wasn't defending it.
Right.
He said, I'm not here to litigate it for you. I'm just here to tell you it exists.
Right.
And I think that sucks, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
And I think Nick Nurse, though, is a guy who really does look like he's going to mix match. And, I wouldn't be surprised in the Sixers' first 20 games if they have 4 or 5 different starting lineups.
Right.
Which I'd welcome.
He's got to figure it out. Let's play Andre Drummond cut 2 here, Connor, because this one will make John Kincade happy.
Everybody needs a rebounder. Like I said, I set out to be the best from my rookie year because obviously there's other things. There's scorers, there's guys that block shots, steals, field goal percentage. And for me, rebounding is not sexy, but it's needed. Mm-hmm. And that's a position and a spot on the floor that is always going to be needed. So I think that's why I've made it so long. I think that's why teams are still trying to go after me.
Wait, you mean rebounding's needed?
Yes.
Because I was told last year that it didn't. That the Sixers not having a backup center that could, it's 8 minutes a game? That doesn't matter. What are you worried about? It cost you the Knicks series.
One of the reasons.
The major reason of the Knicks series is when Embiid was off the court.
Yes.
You were outscored by a freaking million.
Right.
And I'm glad to see a little rim protection and, more importantly, some rebounding.
And I love to hear a guy that's just like Caleb Martin.
He's a specialist and he knows it.
Right. And that's Caleb Martin just goes, hey, if they need me to start, come off the bench, I'll do it. Andre Drummond goes, look, I know it's not sexy, but you need rebounders, and I'm going to do that.
Good job, Darryl.
He
nice
also
offseason.
Definitely didn't want to leave. And we'll play that clip for you coming up next. Adam Schefter was with us at 6:30 this morning. We're going to try to keep the same programming. So you'll hear from Schefter coming up next to start the 8 o'clock hour. Today's headlines with Connor Thomas and a whole lot more. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Trey Turner.
here's what we got. So Adam Schefter joined us at 6:30 this morning. He normally joins us at this time, but he's
on the plane.
On the plane. He's got a nice charity event that he's flying down to, but he still wanted to come on, which I really appreciate. I respect that. So we'll replay that coming up in a few seconds. We do have today's headlines with Connor Thomas that will follow after our discussion with Adam Schefter. And I'm going to play you some clips from Andre Drummond. It's amazing. Maybe the computer's listening, as we know that it does. I mentioned Ben Simmons' name, and sure enough, I see a Ben Simmons-related tweet on the timeline about how he expects to be 100% come the start of the NBA season. In case
100% of a moron.
In case you haven't heard that before. But I'll play you something from Andre Drummond when he was with Bob and Amy yesterday. And he might still feel a certain type of way about that trade. But we'll get to that coming up in a little bit. But here is our discussion with Adam Schefter earlier today as he joins us every single Wednesday, normally at this time, today at 6:30. But we want to keep the same schedule programming, so take a listen. The great Adam Schefter. Shefty, good morning, sunshine.
Andrew, John, I got to tell you the story. So initially, I was supposed to be yesterday in Nashville with Rex Ryan. He was having a Sunday countdown gathering at his house, and I was flying today to Orlando from Nashville, but I was doing it later in the morning. But the day before, he called me. He's like, hey, Teddy Bruschi's got something that came up. Sam Ponder can't make it till the next day. We haven't heard back from Randy Moss. So I think we're going to have to delay it. So we're not going to do it. I'm like, okay. So I still had to go to Orlando Wednesday, which that was my plan. So at about 2:30 in the morning, I'm laying there. I can't sleep because I got an early morning flight. I've already boarded the flight. And I say, oh, man, I forgot that I have Philly radio at 8 a.m. So I texted John at about 2:45 a.m. John, can you get me on earlier?
Yeah, I and it was weird because when I get a text at that hour of the night, I think immediately death.
Yeah.
So this was good news to hear that you were alive and that everything was okay.
Well, yeah, I wondered. I was hoping I wasn't waking you.
No, it's all right. We get up at ungodly hours.
Yeah, we're up bright and early. But we appreciate you still coming on today, man, and thank you for thinking of us. We know that this is your favorite hit of the week. We know that, so thank you for doing that.
I do enjoy my time with you guys, and I do enjoy being in the Philly market. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure you also enjoy summertime sports talk. I want to start this off with you. So yesterday, we had one of our hosts here on the station call in because 2 days ago on these airwaves, he said that he believes that the Eagles will start the season 1-3. And he gave actual reasons why. Part of it was the turmoil that happened last year, but also the new coordinators and the young players defensively for the Eagles. Vic Fangio obviously is very respected in this league. Do you believe that Vic Fangio can step right in with a defense that was horrible last year, 30th in the league, and a lot of new pieces this year, where they can almost start the season off hot like they have in the last couple of years? How difficult of a task is that for him?
Well, I think they're going to be improved when they start the year. And what I mean by that is improved over last year. But I do think that the units should get better over the year, and that the offensive and defensive units will come together as the season goes on. But I think that when the season opens, I think there's enough talent there that when they open up in a new offensive unit, in a new defensive unit, that it should be improved over last year just because of the level at which they were playing last year. So, I mean, they play the Packers in the opener. Who do they play the next 3 weeks?
They play. They come home for Atlanta, and you'll be here for Monday Night Football, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And then 2 road games at New Orleans, at Tampa Bay.
They won't be 1-3. I don't know what they'll be, but they won't be 1-3. I don't believe they'll be 1-3.
Let me ask you something. When you think of teams that win championships or at least compete for championships, we're looking at this pass rush of the Eagles, and we have serious questions about whether we see enough sacks there, considering that has been something that has been a staple of the Eagles for years to come. Do you think this Eagles team has enough talent and a guy in charge that's going to get after the quarterback enough?
Well, I would just say to you that I'm a big fan of the guy in charge. And I think he's one of the top defensive coordinators in the game, period. And has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the game for a long period of time. So if anybody's going to get it out of him, it's going to be him. That's the way it is. And there's enough talent. Would they like to be more talent? Absolutely. Are they always looking? Sure. But they've added enough talent to where I think they could open the season, have a stellar defense, do what they need to do, get the type of pass rush they need. I think it's there. And Vic Fangio, I think, is the right guy right now at the right time.
How much stock would you put into Devin White? Last year, linebackers was a big issue for the Eagles, and he's a guy that's been struggling the last couple of seasons. But when he came into the league, he was tremendous. Wins a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Should the Eagles put a lot of stock into Devin White being this impact player, or is he more so a veteran presence in the middle of the field when they're still trying to usher in Kobe Dean into the NFL?
Well, here's what I would say there. At one point, he was an incredible linebacker. And last year, for whatever reason, his performance dropped off. And it dropped off dramatically. Now, which is it going to be? Was that the system in Tampa? That's hard to imagine because he was productive there. You know, was he going through something personally? Did he not? Well, I don't know the answers to this. But, you know, sometimes players fall off and they can't get back. And sometimes players fall off, they know they fell off, and they use it as a chip to challenge themselves and get back to a level at which they perform. Is Devin White going to achieve the heights that he reached during the prime of his career? That would surprise me. He's done it for a long period of time, and it's hard to sustain. But can it be a solid, good linebacker for them? Yes. And, you know, it's not like they invested a ton of money into him. But he did fall off last year. For whatever reason, I don't know the answer to that as to why he did. He'd have to explain that. And maybe he doesn't even feel like he did. But I guess there were people on Tampa that felt like he did. And so it's up to him to try to get back to the level of play to help the Eagles win this season.
If you talk to, let's take this into the future. Let's say it's around Halloween, and you sat down and did a little conversation with Jalen Hurts, and you asked him, what is it that you love the most about Kellen Moore and this offense? What do you think Jalen Hurts' answer would be to you?
Well, I think ultimately it's going to come back to the winning, John, right? Like,
well, of course.
If he has a system that's going to allow them to win. But I think Kellen Moore likes to throw the football. I think he likes to throw some of the deep balls. I think that'll merge with a lot of what Jalen likes to do. And, again, look, if Jalen Hurts is playing like Jalen Hurts 2022, then he's going to love Kellen Moore. If he's not, then it's going to be a question. So I just think however that is, whatever it takes, whatever it means, he's got to get Jalen Hurts back to being one of the best players in football, not to the guy that was struggling last year to where you're spending every waking moment of the show figuring out what's wrong with him and the team. And they by the way, you ever notice how many announcements, unnecessary announcements there are on an airplane like this?
It's amazing, isn't it?
And tell that guy walking down the aisle that that's not a carry-on that he's trying to bring on.
This is the fifth announcement. We got everything we need to know. We know what's going on. Yeah, we know. Small device. We heard. We know all this, right? We know all this.
It's amazing, Schefty. All right, so every once in a while when we have you on, I love asking you about how the league looks at certain players. We've asked you about Jalen Hurts. We've asked you about A.J. Brown. I want to ask you about Dallas Goedert because Dallas Goedert has 2 years left on his contract. Next year will be his final year, and we know that sometimes 1 year left means it's time to start working on a contract or it's time to start thinking about where to go. Dallas Goedert, a guy that I think is extremely talented but may not have been used enough, and it's not his fault. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith as teammates. How is Dallas Goedert viewed around league circles?
You know, I think Dallas Goedert is a guy that's going to thrive in this offense. We've talked about the fact that in Kellen Moore's offense, I think he likes to throw the football to the running backs and the tight ends and feature them in the passing game. And Dallas got another announcement. We know, man. Okay, we know. Okay, we're continuing the boarding process. We got it. Okay, so basically, with Dallas Goedert, here's a guy that I think has potential that has yet to be realized. I think when you go around the Eagles organization and talk to them, they think he's a monster, and they think he's capable of having a huge year. And I think when you have that type of talent and that type of potential, and you put it in a system that likes to feature the tight end, I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a bigger year than he's had in recent years for the Eagles. I think he's going to be one of these guys that really steps up this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Last couple days, while these players have their freedom, what are some of the weird things you've heard from players or coaches that they do during this downtime? Yeah, have you heard any interesting stories? Guys doing crazy stuff?
No, I think everybody feels it, right? On the one hand, you're excited to get back. All you have to do is think of the feeling of back to school, right? What's it like when you're going back to school and you're excited to start the new year and meet your new teachers and see your friends, and you're also dreading it because you know all the work that's ahead. The same exact thing.
Well, I think it's beautiful, as busy you are, that you are still taking the time to doing this and making the early trip. And thank you for joining us early this morning, Schefty. We always enjoy our time with you. We can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Adam.
My apologies to John for getting up at 2:45. Glad I am alive, too. That's a good thing.
That was good.
We'll be back to the regular schedule next Wednesday.
Thank you, brother.
You're the man,
Take care,
Schefty.
man.
We appreciate it. There he is, Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, brought to us by our friends at Atlantis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at AtlantisBC.com. All right, that was Adam Schefter. We've spoken with him at 6:30, but we want to try to keep the same schedule, so we replayed it there at 8.
Or the person who brings on the bag that is clearly not a carry-on.
Yeah, that happens all the time, and then it delays the flight even more.
Or the people who crowd the gates.
Yeah, and the people that stand up right away when the plane lands.
My gosh.
There's a lot of traveling pet peeves that we all have. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up in a minute. Let's go to the phones. We've been talking a lot of Phillies today as well, because the Phillies have just, with a dominant win against the Dodgers yesterday. Trey Turner with the grand slam. It was great to see Bryson Stott hit that home run yesterday. Let's go to Ryan in Georgia. Ryan, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
What's going on, Ryan? Where are you in Georgia?
I'm in Dawsonville, Georgia.
That's very good. I used to go to the mall there.
Okay,
The outlet
yeah,
mall.
very good.
There you go.
I've been here for about 9 years. Grew up in Drexel Hill.
There you go.
Dad had these Eagles season tickets. We were always hardcore Flyers and Eagles, but check in with the Phillies and the Sixers here and there. But this season has really, and I think part of it has to do with being here and how much they like the Braves here. So I've really been getting into that rivalry down here, which is awesome.
Sure.
But I've been really following them. I've watched last season in the playoffs was the first time I ever watched a full baseball game all the way through.
So you're new to the sport of baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
he was more Sixers.
Yeah.
The fifth inning, just kind of lukewarm. But now I'm fully into it, and I can't tell you how awesome it is. It's discovering.
How old are you, Ryan?
A new food. I'm 38.
Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. So you were, obviously
Eagles Sixers,
around.
but Eagles Sixers was his.
Right, but so what were you like in 07, 08, 9, 10, 11 when the Phillies were in another run like this?
So I was in the military. I was in the Navy.
Okay.
I actually watched the Phillies win the World Series in 08 in the middle of the Indian Ocean on an aircraft carrier.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, amazing. Thank you for your service,
Yes,
first
thank
of all.
you for that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty wild story. I just got off shift, and I got back to the berthing where we sleep, and they had this little crummy TV in the corner, and the feed was cutting in and cutting out. Brad Lidge is on the mound. The feed cuts out, and then it cut back in just as he threw that last pitch and struck that last dude out, and they won. And I'm running around the berthing, and everyone's telling me to shut up.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're finding this new love of baseball, and it's hard not to have fun after a game like last night. Thank you for your service, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
We appreciate the call.
And I hope Georgia 400 isn't too bad for him this morning.
Yeah.
He's got one road out of that. There's one road out of Dawsonville, and it's always miserable. It's always bad.
Hopefully he's having a nice drive. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What up, Connor?
What's good, boys?
Lots good.
Yes, there is. And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on outside of our top topics of the day. So let's start with this one, actually. I knew Adam Schefter was up early because I saw an early tweet from him saying people should check this out. A new show dropping on Netflix today, Receiver.
I can't wait to see this.
So you guys are familiar with it.
It was quarterback last year, right?
Yep. Exactly. And this year, the receivers, which I don't know if it could be named receiver because George Kittle is the first name listed here. Technically a pass catcher.
Well, it's not called wide receiver.
It should be called
it's called receiver.
Pass catcher, but that's neither here nor there. Kittle, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Devontae Adams are in it. Here's a listen in to a little bit of the trailer.
They say there's not a more difficult position in sports than NFL quarterback. But the truth is, throwing a pass is only half the story. With all due respect to offensive linemen, a quarterback's best friend is this guy, the receiver.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally in.
I couldn't be more in.
I
I'm
can't wait.
totally-
The quarterbacks one was awesome to see the life of a quarterback, and it's not just their home life, but also balancing getting ready for a game, preparation, knowing the playbook, knowing everything. Like the Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes quarterbacks show was freaking awesome.
Kirk Cousins turned me off. Marcus Mariota completely turned me off.
Kirk Cousins turned you off?
Yeah,
I
the
thought
whole, the whole extra day off a week from all his offensive teammates really turned me off.
You're still
the fact that he
still
gets
chucking for 4,000
He's got to
yards.
spend
No, I
that
got you.
Colts cash sometime.
Yeah, but wait, whoa. You guys are always trashing him on what he has not accomplished.
Yeah, I think he stinks.
I can't believe that a guy says, I want an extra day off a week from all my offensive teammates where they're all going to work, and he's okay with just staying home.
I get it, though.
I don't.
An extra day is not going to make Kirk Cousins a winner.
Every day of the
Right,
week.
it's not going. It's not going.
Might
No,
as
but
well
I
spend
don't
your time with your
understand it.
family,
He's
Kirk.
still going to fall short in every big moment. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. I'm glad that they're continuing it. Remember, they were going to do another season of quarterbacks, but they
Right.
couldn't get anybody to agree to it. So it must have been hard on Mahomes, Cousins, and Mariota. I'm sure Mariota. I mean, he did come off poorly because remember he just
he's
stopped playing.
He's quit on multiple NFL teams. So, I mean,
I'm sure there are
already-
some quarterbacks that are like, all right, A, there's too much that I already have to do in between weeks to get ready for a game. B, I don't want to come off as bad. Wide receivers, we already know they're divas, right? Like,
Right.
so it's going to be a little bit different. I'm glad that they're still continuing it with a different position. Now, the question is, if this goes well, is it receiver season 2, or do you then go to linemen, which might be like hard.
Lineman would be cool.
But it might be hard to watch. Those guys are beat up, man.
Or how about
that's true.
How about I think you would maybe go to the diva position,
Punter.
corner.
Oh,
Corner,
yes.
yeah.
Like
That'd be
there's a lot, of,
entertaining.
and also too, you then are bringing in the preparation for all the great receivers you have to go up against and everything.
Right, no, that's a great point. I mean,
And it's a diva position.
I wonder would the NFL, because this is in partnership with the NFL, because they get all this coverage. Would the NFL want linemen? They're trying to do whatever they can to.
I think I'd be most intrigued by it because
I think
it's,
so, too.
Because it's honestly what is hard. It sounds stupid, but it's to me it's sometimes the hardest to understand.
Right. Oh,
their
absolutely.
technique and everything. I just, sometimes I just don't get it.
And a lot of the times they have the best personalities too. I mean, that's not
Amazing.
just a Jason Kelsey thing. It's a lot of linemen. But I wonder if the NFL would try to steer away from
I
that
wonder.
because of all the concussions. from
Certainly
offensive
possible.
linemen.
But
yeah.
I'm not steering away from watching receiver. This is
No,
going
I
to be
can't
awesome.
wait for
that'd be
that.
great.
Yeah.
All right, next thing, and this is specifically for you, Mr. Kincade.
Yes.
Because I have a feeling something about the Philadelphia Phillies coverage last night bothered you.
What's that?
And it wasn't during the game, but what a certain player did before the game. So
yeah.
last night there was a giveaway of a Nick Castellanos basketball jersey, which is awesome. I'm very upset that they only had it for kids. I would love to, if John Brazier's listening, track down a Nick Castellanos basketball jersey.
Well, considering that all the players that were wearing them yesterday
players were
could
wearing
never
them,
fit
yeah.
the kids.
There's got to be some
I
adult size
complained
ones.
about this earlier, and you didn't even know it.
Literally during the commercial break, this past one we were talking
I was
about.
complaining about
Yeah,
that.
if I can get an adult large, that's all I'm saying. I'd be very grateful. But Nick Castellanos did something interesting with the back of his jersey. Got a little tape. There's a new number 8 on the Sixers, so he put Paul George's name on the back of his jersey. Is this a cool move for Nick Castellanos, or is this falling into the why are you pandering? It annoys me.
It's harmless, and it's pandering. But it's harmless. That's harmless.
How
Absolutely harmless. It's harmless.
Okay.
It's harmless. I didn't think twice about it, but absolutely pandering.
I love that. I don't even know that it is because I don't know.
He's
if
a Miami Heat fan.
Sure. I don't.
He's not a fan of the Sixers. He's a Miami Heat fan.
I don't know that he's doing it for the fan base.
Much like Bryce is a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Sure. That's the thing. I
Yeah,
think it's more
exactly.
for Paul George than it is for the fans. I don't think Nick Castellanos
Okay.
puts that on and says, "Oh, the fans are going to be excited." I think we talked about it earlier, how much trouble Nick Castellanos had his first year here. He wants to say, "Hey, man, we're all in this together," which I do love from these sports teams.
It is nice to see it. It is pandering, but it's nice to see it.
So real quick, I found a website where the basketball jerseys are.
Ooh.
I think it's still kids, but they go as high
As fat kids?
as a.
or what?
Come on, man. Come on.
Wait,
I'm
wait.
a former fat kid.
Come on. Yeah.
They go as high as 5XL.
What?
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you think a 5XL? I'm trying to figure out what
What is
that,
the kid to adult size comparison?
like if a 5XL is like a medium for an
but
adult.
and Connor would wear the half shirt. Connor would gladly
do they
wear
have
the
it in
half
crop top?
Exactly.
We can continue this conversation.
Yes, let's do that.
I'm trying to figure out if a 5XL would work for you.
What's it cost?
Connor.
We'll do some research.
$45.
Holy gosh.
Oh, that's no problem.
Basketball jersey?
That's light
actually
work.
nothing.
A Castellanos basketball jersey?
All right, let's wrap up with this.
Missing
before
a
I
lot of
lose our
shots
train
in
of
that
thought.
jersey.
Something that you guys asked earlier in the show, one of our big questions of the day.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to start thinking of other things that we could try to put to bed. Having a topic about trying to put other sports topics to bed.
This one's interesting because I would love to see this narrative die, but there's part of it that I totally understand why it exists.
Okay.
I would love to see the narrative put to bed of Joel Embiid's not a winner. I hate the fact that to be considered a winner,
You have to win a championship.
you have to win it all.
How about just no, you don't. How about just getting close?
Well-
Allen Iverson never won it all. Allen Iverson's considered a winner. He got close. He put teams on his back and carried them.
I don't know.
But is Joel Embiid not playing through injury and
Is he not
It's
a winning
always
player?
injury.
Like
And so
just
that's just
I know,
what
but
it is.
but he plays through it. So I would say that's a winning attitude that you would go through constant pain to try to help your team win.
I have the utmost respect for him as being a guy who I think is tough. I think he's tough. I think playing with a broken face and playing basketball is tough.
Right.
Because I'd be concerned every time something came near my face.
Yeah.
And he manages to put that behind him. But again, you got to win. You have to win. Like, we can't do these, well, let's find all these ways that we want to applaud him and love him and cheer for him. You've got to have, at some point, just stumble into a win.
But like, so Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris have been together for 6 years now, right? I would not call Tobias Harris a winner, but I would call Joel Embiid a winner.
See, I agree.
And the two of them were on the same teams
And
that never got past
they're
the
the
second
same
round.
accomplishment of winner.
But I know Embiid is playing through injury, giving it his all, whereas Tobias Harris was
like
shy from the moment.
Bryce Harper on the Nationals was a winner.
You don't
that
think that
organization
Joel Embiid
stunk.
has shied from the moment a few times? Because I got a few examples for you if you want to try to spin that nonsense to me. Don't spin that nonsense to me.
He's a winner, Joel Embiid.
Yeah, Game
is.
6 against Boston, Game 7
Well,
in Boston. Don't tell me
First
about
43 minutes of Game 6.
Don't tell me
he's fine.
about that.
All right, we continue the discussion today.
You too.
Everything that we have on the table. You can text and call in. We'll hit the text line, the phone lines. We've been off it for a little bit.
We were getting
you can
along
text
so
and
well
call
today.
in 610-632-0975. Also, later on this hour, John has a quiz. And I'm nervous about that.
It's 90 seconds.
I'm not really good at school stuff. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies take game 1 versus the Dodgers.
Kincade and Salciunas right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Get into a bunch of different topics today. Phillies, we started off the show talking about with that nice win last night against the Dodgers. More than a nice one, an absolute beatdown of the Dodgers, 10-1. How about this stat line for Bobby Miller yesterday? Poor kid out there, just thrown to the Wolves against this Phillies lineup. 4 innings pitched, 10 hits, 9 earned runs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Bit of a rough day for Mr. Miller.
Little
yesterday.
rough.
Put that guy in the witness protection program. He's already got the name for it. No one will ever find a Bobby Miller.
Bobby Miller is a strong witness protection name.
Yeah,
you're right.
It is strong. You will not be.
Poor kid.
But nice day for the Phillies yesterday. Absolutely great day. And Trey Turner again celebrating him with that grand slam yesterday. 3 for 4, raising his batting average to 342.
Okay, that's okay. When was the 6 weeks that he missed? I'm trying to think of when was the last time that we had a Philly batting this high,
this late in the season.
This late, but the 6 weeks helps.
Yeah,
I mean it helps because we're talking about, instead of talking about mid-July, we're talking about early June.
I'm sure Chase at some point
342
because didn't he have a pretty sizable hitting streak at one point? I forget.
Yeah,
what
but
year
it's really impressive, and more importantly, is this is what we sort of demand and expect of our big stars.
Yeah.
We expect that they're going to, in big situations, that they're going to be able to carry for other guys. And I admire the hell out of it that he's been able to do it and do it so well.
I just can't. 342. I mean, and it's gone up since he came back from injury. It's gone up. Like there was no let's ease him in. Let's see how he does. No, he's getting like 2 hits a night. It seems like yesterday 3 more. All right, we'll get to the text in a second. Speaking of the Phillies, let's go to Mitch in Phoenix. Hello, Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch in 115 degrees in Phoenix.
Oh, yeah, dude, I can only imagine what you're dealing with. We're complaining about 95.
Dude, I went to the Walgreens at 4:30 in the morning. I looked at my temperature thing, and it was 93 degrees.
At 4:30 in the morning, that's horrible.
But the humidity, what, like 18% maybe, 15%?
Doesn't matter. When you get into 115,
yeah, I don't think that matters.
See, we were just in 110 in Vegas and had no problem with it because it was like 8% humidity.
Yeah, well, recently it's been as high as 120 in Vegas. That's an all-time
That's
record.
crazy. Yep.
So what do we got in the Phils there, Mitch? Because they're red hot.
Yeah, before I get to the Phils, I got to ask you an important question.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the point guard for the 76ers? Who's going to play point?
Right now, I don't think they have one because I don't believe Tyrese Maxey's a point guard.
So that's definitely a weird situation for an NBA basketball team.
They still have time to acquire one.
Well, if I hear positionless basketball one more time, I think I'm going to vomit.
No, and I think they've realized that over the years. That's why they brought in Kyle Lowry last year. And I know Kyle Lowry was 38, but let's not act like Kyle Lowry wasn't impactful. He actually played very well for them.
He did.
In regards to the Phillies, and I've watched a lot of Phillies games over my lifetime, Sixer games and whatever, this is the best team I've seen the Phillies put on the field in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch, some will make the case that it could be the best team ever if they win the World Series, obviously.
I think it is. I think it's got a better lineup. I think it's Mitch. It's probably the best lineup you've ever seen. When healthy. When everybody's healthy.
It's not only the lineup.
Rotation.
The starting pitchers, the bullpen.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
good job,
and Mitch, thanks for the call,
Thanks,
man.
Mitch.
Like, I'm going to have to, you know what I should do? Maybe I will at some point this week. Remember like a month or two into the season, I compared
the 2011?
The aces, the
Yes.
4 aces to our quote-unquote 4 aces.
It's still far better.
It might, yeah. I mean, the way they're pitching, nobody's saying career-wise. We're saying this year, the 2024 Phillies rotation has pitched better than the 2011 4 aces rotation, which was also dominant.
It's July 10th. Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports had it this morning. July 10th. You have 3 pitchers with 10 wins. And it's been a bunch of years since a team has had 3 pitchers with 10 wins before the All-Star break. And it was a Boston Red Sox team years ago. So, I mean, this is historic.
Right.
Not only for the Phillies, but in baseball, 10-win teams tend to happen where you have 3 pitchers with 10 wins before the All-Star break, tends to happen 2 or 3 times a decade in baseball.
Jeez. Wow. It's amazing.
It's historic.
And I know we don't really look at wins and losses.
I don't look
anymore.
at that as a pitcher stat, honestly. But it is.
If the pitchers are going 7 innings and getting wins all the time.
If you give me a great ERA to go along with those wins.
Right, absolutely.
Like last year, Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, don't care about his win-loss record. Like, I was having a conversation with my father not long ago, and he was like, oh, well, Taijuan, what happened to him? He had 15 wins last year. It's like, yeah, and an ERA of like 4. Like, it's not like he pitched all that well, and that's why like a guy like Jacob deGrom has won a Cy Young, with a sub 500.
And I think it was like 12 wins or something.
I think it might have been 8.
That's incredible.
Like, because he was so dominant. It's not his fault that he would lose 1-0 ball games.
Not his fault that he's a Met. And now a Ranger. If he ever plays for them.
That's actually a shame because he's a joy. He's
incredible
an absolute
talent.
joy to watch. Speaking of numbers, and we'll get to the text line in a second. Can you explain this basketball number that you texted us yesterday about averaging 76 points a game?
Okay, I'm stealing this from ESPN Stats and Information.
Okay.
Can you tell me right now confidently that you believe over the course of the season, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey are going to average 76 points a game?
Combined?
Collectively.
Yes.
Then the Sixers are a 3 seed or better. And how about this? In this century, it's guaranteed.
Really?
3 starters, 76 points. You've got yourself a 3 seed or above.
Yeah.
And you think of it and you go, well, that doesn't sound like it's too many. It's a big 76 points out of your top 3 stars.
Yeah,
is big.
That's a big accomplishment. Have more than 30.
It's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, and if he averages 33 and Max is at 25.
The only question that I had with this is that what you're saying. Like Embiid last year, I think it was 34-8 or something like that. Maxey was with Paul George here. Embiid's going to be expected to score less because he's not going to get as many opportunities of it.
He might not.
And Tyrese Maxey's going to get less.
Yeah.
Can you get 76 out of that? I think it's an easy. Everyone's like, yeah. You can get 76 out of them. And I'm going, are you though? If you can get 76 in this century, so 2001 on, because I'm going to do it like Kramer. It's 2001 started. You've got a 3 seed or better.
Well, yeah, they can do it because expected to score less doesn't mean is scoring less. And, like, what that means is the night that Joel Embiid goes out and doesn't have his best stuff, he doesn't have to force his way to the line to find a way to 30.
If Joel Embiid is a 23-point night,
yeah,
you could see Maxey putting up a 34.
Well, no, Joel Embiid didn't have those nights because he didn't have other options. Like, Maxey could get his a little bit, but if Embiid wasn't working, like, he had to force his way to the rim. He had to take hard fouls. He had to get to the line because Tobias Harris is standing at a crumble cookie somewhere. And now on a night,
guys are relentless.
And now on a night where Joe doesn't have his best
ruined
stuff,
my life for 6 years.
Now on a night when Joel doesn't have his best stuff, it's Paul George have one of those nights where you go get us 33, 35.
Gotcha.
He's capable.
So let's see what the Clippers did last year. The Clippers had Kawhi, Paul George, and James Harden.
By the way, you have to play the minimum amount of games is the minimum amount of games, and I should have said this in the beginning. You got to have out of your players, you got to have 55. 55 games.
And we'll
so
see
that
if that
the stats.
happens
There are some teams that got wiped out of the stat because of the fact that they had a guy who played a 50-game season, 45-game season, and they ended up a 5 seed or 6 seed because they're not there enough.
Yeah, well, Paul George played 72 last year or
74.
something? 74.
In a contract year, it was amazing.
And then, well, I mean,
he was there.
I don't think his injuries have been lacking.
By the way, Paul George averaged 22 and a half last year. So let's just say he's at 22 this year.
Okay. There's 22.
So 22. And Maxey last year had 26 points per game. It's 25.9. Let's just go 25.
Okay, 25 for Maxey.
So then that's, 47?
See?
Yes, it is.
Then you're going to need, right out of that, you just need 30
out
points.
of Embiid, which he's still the
and
best.
I think
he's still the best player in the NBA.
Like to me, it looks so easy. The question is, can you get the 55 games out of George and Embiid?
Yeah, I mean that's
because that's been part of it.
That will end up being the biggest question. Now, look, Embiid might average 28 a game instead of 33, but you know what? His assist total might go up from 4 a game to like 6. He's never had a wing to kick it out to.
You're right.
Like he's never had Tobias Harris. Not only hurt my life, He hurt assist totals for Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Ben Simmons. Name a point guard. He's hurt their assist totals with his lack of ability to score.
Does Paul George being here take away at all from Embiid or Maxey?
No, because they're still the two guys.
No, so he doesn't. So
what do you
doesn't
mean by take away?
As far as opportunities where last year, the Maxey go-off games? Like Maxey had...
He'll still have his.
He had 2 50-point games, right?
Yeah, he might still have 2 50 games.
And he probably had, 5 40-point games, 6 40-point games, something like that?
Guys know the hot hand. Everybody, like, if Tyrese Maxey comes out of the gate and is 4-4 from 3, Paul George isn't going to say, all right, kid, my turn. Like,
right.
You know the hot hand. You let him keep on going. So... I think it's going to end up being fine, and it'll end up averaging out.
Yes.
Right? That's what it comes down to is the averages. That's what the numbers are there. But it's interesting that it is a lock.
76.
Okay.
55 games out of your 3 guys, 76 points. You're a 3-seed or better.
So 76 is normally the grades I would get on my tests. So coming up next.
You were dumber than I thought.
Coming up next, John has a quiz for me and Connor.
Yes, and everybody can play along in their car.
Absolutely.
Or at home, and it's 90 seconds. It is the hands-up quiz.
C's get degrees, Johnny.
They do.
So don't judge me, ladies and gentlemen. Degree. Don't judge me. It's Kincade and Salciunas. We'll get to this quiz that's terrifying me next because I don't even know what the topic is. I didn't study for this one.
Much like you didn't when you went to classes.
Absolutely correct. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Coming up this week, the Phillies hope to get some of their injured players back.
Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, I'm excited to do this. So NBC Sports Philadelphia, I don't think you were here this day, John. Correct me if I was wrong. They started doing their top 25 most important Eagles list for this year.
I was not here.
Okay. So Nakobe Dean came in at 24. And I said, A, is he in the right spot? Should he be higher or should he be out of the top 25? Right? So that was one of the first things that we talked about. But
okay.
They just started their top 10 yesterday. I want to try to guess the top 10 with you.
Okay.
So we'll do that in the 9 o'clock hour. We got a quiz that you're going to give us coming up in a second, but I do want to let you know.
And everyone will play along.
Yes, everybody at home listening,
play along. It's very easy.
I want to tell you about the Fanatic Deal of the Week. John, you got me excited talking about this. The $50 gift card to Artillery Brewing in Drexel Hill and Westchester.
2 great spots, too.
That's awesome.
Little Delco and Little Chesco.
You pay $25, you get $50. You experience the spirit of the American Revolution at Artillery Brewing, where history meets exceptional craft beer. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. All right, before we get to this quiz, can you give us a text? I want to let the text line, because we've been away from it for a little bit. So what do we got, Connor?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a check-in here. So we were talking about Jalen Hurts earlier, and this is Mike and Cherry Hill checking in, saying, I love how whenever they bring up Jalen Hurts' stats, they always leave off his rushing stats. Rushing is a big part of his game. Come on, Acho. Talking about Emmanuel Acho, who had that soundbite from earlier. Hot take artist.
Thank you, Mike, for checking in.
And he is a hot take artist.
Literally, I did bring it up when I reacted to it. So yeah, he only threw for 154 yards. By the way, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Giants. Like, he was exceptional.
And more importantly, they got that game out to 28-0.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, he didn't have to throw the football.
He didn't have to.
Like, that stuff pisses me off. Oh, he only threw for 154 yards. Okay, they're up 28-0. Are you a dumb football person to say, oh, you should keep throwing the football?
And it was 21-0 at half.
No, it was 28-0 at half.
Oh, I thought it was 21.
They scored late in the second half. So they come out the gate in the second half. The Giants put up 7 in the third quarter. It was a 21-point lead going into the fourth. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep dropping back your franchise quarterback who just came off of an injury to throw? No, you're going to have him hand off the football. Like, that's stupid.
That's why if I had one of those shows, and I'm Fox Sports or ESPN or whatever, I would absolutely have like a confessional where fans could email in their video response. Here, to yesterday's show, somebody wanted to respond. And here's Andrew in Philadelphia responding.
It's an idiotic take.
It's the part of these shows that's missing.
Right. It is. Because they can just say whatever they want.
And I think it would be high humor at times.
Yeah.
And I think it would create more content.
Right.
When you get people throwing stuff back at you, boomerang.
I just don't get why you leave context out of a game.
Well, he does because it doesn't make his point.
Right.
And that's why he does.
And that's the sad thing. And that's something that's wrong in life, not just sports talk. It's wrong in life. Kenneth Gainwell in that game against the Giants ran for 112 yards. Miles Sanders ran for 90. Jalen Hurts ran for 34. Boston Scott ran for 32. That team combined for almost 300 yards rushing. Why wouldn't you keep running the football?
Correct.
I mean, it's like it's stupid. Like it's not like if the big man, it's like Joel Embiid when he drops 70, right? You keep feeding him the ball. What are you going to do? Oh, well, Daniel House, different House. Daniel House Jr. only scored 3 points that game. So? Embiid dropped 70. All right. Let's do this quiz.
Let me tell you this. This is a new thing that we're going to try.
Okay.
We're always trying to do new things. This is the hands up quiz.
All right, because of no internet.
So Connor and Andrew will both have to have their hands up.
Can I do this so I'm more comfortable? You can see me. Look,
you can do whatever.
Computer's turned.
Yeah, computer's turned, but it's more of just hands up, though.
Yeah.
Both of you have to have your hands up.
Okay, but if someone out there's driving, they can keep their hands on the wheel.
They can keep their hands on the wheel. They can drive with their knee.
What if my arms get tired?
Be careful. Don't advocate that. Oh, you got
I say have a safe trip into work, and now you're telling people to drive with their knees.
You got 90 seconds, and Connor's hands are in the air, and Andrew's hands are in the air.
Can I write things down?
No.
I'm a writer.
No, you have
up,
90,
Andrew.
90 seconds. That makes it a little more complicated.
We're on a team.
Okay.
I got you.
90 seconds. I need Connor Thomas and Andrew Salciunas to tell me the 7 ways a player can get to first base in baseball.
Single, walk, error, fielder's choice, strikeout, pass ball. You get to first base that way. Hit by pitch, intentional walk. Come on, brother.
No, there's one more.
I did 7.
No, you did 6. Walk, hit by pitcher. I'll put it on pause. Walk, hit by pitch, hit, drop, strike 3. The pin. error, and fielder's choice. That's 6.
Did I
There's
say
7.
intentional walk?
There's 7. Intentional walk is walk. Doesn't matter.
Well, then there's 8 because intentional
No.
walk is a different statistical
it's a walk.
category than
Still,
walk.
it's a walk.
See, now you're wasting our
Now
time.
you get on with the walk. Okay, you have 1:13 left. This is very impressive. There's one more you didn't get. Go.
What is it? The rule violation? Like the
No. This has existed before that. List the ones we have again.
Walk, hit by pitch, hit, a drop, strike 3, an error, a fielder's choice. You got 50 seconds for the final
I'm
one.
Missing one of these?
Yes.
I don't. This is always the one that I don't remember too.
Think about it. Someone in their
I got it.
What?
Do you have it?
No, go for it. You're a team.
Quick, save
Even though
time.
I gave you
Save
6.
time. Answer
Catcher's
it.
interference.
That is correct.
Ah, thank you. All right, good job.
All right, you wasted a little time there, Connor.
Oh, there's
We're
more
not gonna-
questions.
No, I'm
Oh,
going to keep
damn
track.
it.
No, I'm going to keep track of this.
Oh.
Because now you guys left 38 seconds on the clock. So the next time we do this, you're trying to beat leaving 38 seconds on the clock.
Oh,
I think that's
okay.
very impressive. I thought you guys were going to come to the very end. I thought it was going to come to the very end on that.
Man. We got
through
we got
it.
seam heads here.
You ran through
Problem
it.
is,
and then it
Salciunas
was,
didn't go team player. He just starts listing a bunch of stuff
We
off.
just talked about the hot hand. If Maxi's shooting 4 and 4 from 3, I got
we went to the end of the game. You wouldn't take the shot, Tobias.
and I
Pass
take
me
it.
the ball.
And I take it that if people are playing along, it seems like the YouTube crowd, people were yelling catcher's interference.
Catcher's interference. Okay.
That is a way there. So the quiz will come up, 90-second hands
like
up
that,
quiz.
yeah.
And we will do that occasionally. I'll come up with something. But you guys left 38 seconds left.
But walking
I think that's impressive.
Walking and intentional walk are two
Those are the
different
same thing,
You
dude.
can
No,
get, it's a
it's
walk.
the-
No, it
they're
is.
both- it's
A walk is how you get to first base. Whether it's intentional or not doesn't matter. It's a walk. You
They're
get to
both
first
walks.
base.
Well,
They're
you
both
call
walks.
one an intentional
No,
walk.
but
You
they're
call
both-
one a walk.
They're
Okay,
both
cool.
walks.
Strikeout looking and a strikeout swinging are both a strikeout.
That's why you
So you
put
can
him.
say-
That's why you put him in
No, but it
differently.
doesn't.
But it's still
frontward K,
it's still the
backward
same
K.
out.
Don't
It's still a
complicate.
strikeout.
Don't complicate it. It's still a strikeout.
I can see why you got C's.
See, that's what it is.
I banged that one out of the park.
You're in the weeds.
Oh, man.
Fine, no teamwork. I think next time you got to go 1-1-1.
I basically did 8 2/3,
Back
and we
and forth.
said, you know what? Let's let Connor get the final out.
You just
Listen, man, I
regurgitated.
closed in college. I'll close here.
You did.
Unbelievable. All right, coming up next, we do the 9 o'clock hour, and we started off NBC Sports Philadelphia. I always love tracking this because they've been doing this for a couple of years now. I believe it's Dave Zangaro's list.
Yes.
His top 25 most important Eagles. So I'll tell you who's on the list so far, and you and I and Connor will try to figure out the top 10. Obviously, we will know who because the players that aren't mentioned yet will be in the top 10. But let's try to figure out the order. We'll do Dave's work for him. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Some good injury news for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing.
Salciunas. Hope you had a nice, safe trip into work today. Coming up at 9:10, as we do every single Wednesday after our conversations with Adam Schefter, we replay the 5 best minutes of it. So Schefty joins us at 9:10, and I'm excited to react to it because we've had so much going on. Schefty was actually on with us at 6:30 today, and then after that we reset the show. Then we had the great people from Comcast in, and then we had today's headlines. We've had so much going on that we haven't been able to totally react to everything. The stuff that he's saying about Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, like he thinks so highly of both the Eagles' offensive and defensive coordinators. That's exciting.
I'm going to be shocked if things don't go through the roof with Moore, and if they just don't get very stable and secure under Vic Fangio.
And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I don't think Vic Fangio has the ingredients to work with, because I know there are some people laying in the weeds that don't like the Vic Fangio hire. And so they're going to lay in the weeds and go, oh, look at this. They're still giving up 25 points a game. Right now, we may be looking for them to give up, in the beginning of the year, 24, 25, and just outscore people while they're learning.
I think you should like the hire, but I think the best approach is the Ray Dunn approach, who we saw during the break. We now have the Vic Fangio, right? Of the Vic Fangio tree, Vic is here.
Okay.
We will find out if it actually works or not. Because this has been their defensive philosophy.
No.
Jim Schwartz.
Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon.
No, you can't.
Sean Desai.
You can't tell if the recipe works if you're going to put crappy ingredients in the recipe.
Well, you could still tell.
No,
right?
You can have an idea if it works or not, because
you can see if you can.
John, it may have been figured out. It's not the Vic Fangio whether or not it's always been good or it's always been bad. At some point, there's enough trees. There's a lot of roots in the NFL right now of the Vic Fangio defense. What do offensive minds do? They try to find ways to beat them.
No question. But you're not going to be able to tell this year whether it works, because this defensive depth chart is thin as hell.
No, but if they're like 16th, we're not going to be able to tell.
Nobody's complaining.
But if they roll out and they're 30th,
again,
and you cannot get off the field on third and long,
it's terrible. Because I said it yesterday, and maybe I'm being too aggressive with it. I think if they're in the 20s, it's awful. Like I'm expecting.
Yeah,
I'm expecting
because that's bottom third of the league.
What he tends to deliver is a top 10 to 12 defense.
Right.
I'm expecting this year, if I get top half of the league,
if I get 15, 16, I'll
be thrilled, because this offense should more than be able to cover for that. The Chiefs just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can taste like the recipe has some of the right processes, but if it comes out tasting like dog water, well,
I still think this defensive depth chart to me is. I don't think it's troubling, but I think it's absolutely concerning.
I think there's also still question marks. Like, we don't know if Bryce Huff is going to be able to replace what Hassan Reddick did, right? So that's something that we're still going to have to figure out. All right, so NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Yes.
They do this every single year. They do their top 25 most important players. Dave Zangaro puts together the list. And
he does a really good job with this, by
he's
the way.
Tremendous.
Very detailed.
They just started the top 10 yesterday with Bryce Huff as the 10th most important Eagle for the top 25 this season.
Now, it's weird because the other morning when you were out, we did the Sweet 16 for the 16 days.
Did you really?
Of the thing.
Okay.
And we did the 16 days of who were the 16 players. There's a nice piece up at 97.5thefanatic.com of who those 16 are. And I will tell you that Bryce Huff was the 16th edition.
Okay. He was important.
Yes.
Okay.
As far as to the Sweet 16 roster.
Yeah.
He was the last one we negotiated him on.
Oh, was that right?
So this is interesting to me.
All right, so here's his 25. Brandon Graham came in at 25. Nakobe Dean at 24. Milton Williams, Jake Elliott, Nolan Smith, and at 20 was Cooper DeJean.
Okay, Jake Elliott and Cooper DeJean were on the list. Ours was a proposed, there's an NFL expansion draft. And Howie Roseman has to protect 16 rostered players.
So those are your keepers.
Okay,
interesting. We had Cooper DeJean and Jake Elliott. Both were protected in our 16. So that doesn't make Dave Zangaro's most important.
Right.
A little different premise, but still interesting.
Blankenship at 19. Steen. Tyler Steen at 18, which
Neither one of them made ours.
Which I find interesting, and I'll explain why in a second. Devin White, 17. Quinyon Mitchell, 16.
He made our list. Quinyon Mitchell made our list.
As he probably should. Jordan Davis, Landon Dickerson.
They made our list.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at 13, Dallas Goedert at 12, Josh Sweat at 11, Bryce Huff at 10. So now this is interesting because I would think that Landon Dickerson might actually be higher. I would think that Jordan Davis might actually be higher. But now let's try to figure out who are in the top 10.
I had to negotiate Jordan Davis on.
In the 16.
Brendan Gunn and I had to negotiate Jordan Davis into the 16 for Kevin Cooney. Now, he made some good cases, but I was just like, this is a guy who, whether you want to poo-poo Pro Football Focus or not,
right?
Top 8 player at his position his first 2 years. That's not a bust. No matter how anybody tries to spin it, it's not a bust.
Right.
Does he need to get better in late in seasons? Well, absolutely.
Right. All right, so we're not going to figure out order specifically because it stays in Garrow's mind.
Exactly.
But we all agree Jalen Hurts is number one.
Jalen Hurts is in there.
He is. I would say he's number one.
He better be.
Yeah, he has to be.
He
right?
better be.
He has Bryce Huff at 10, so we need to figure out 2 through 9. I imagine
Darius Slay has to be in the top 10.
I would think so. Saquon has to be in the top 10. Both,
AJ and Devontae.
Yep, both wide receivers.
Okay, so what's that give us now? 5? Is that 5 of the 9?
That's 4 more. That's 4 of the 9.
That's 4 of the 9.
So both Mailata
and Lane Johnson have to be in. So now we have we have how many left to do?
3 left.
Mailata and Johnson. Then we have to say it's got to be Jalen Carter.
Oh, only 2 left.
It's got to be Jalen Carter.
So Jalen Carter. So that means only one.
I already said Darius Slay.
One left.
It's got to be.
Is it Cam Jurgens?
Could be.
I guess you're the replacement to.
He's a centerpiece.
I said
no pun
and
intended.
he's a replacement to Jason Kelsey.
I said the other day, and I might have to just do this exercise. I said, let's put Haley out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And Haley's no, we love you, Haley. We're not throwing you out. Haley, I give her $100, and I say to people on the street, and she goes up to random people on the street, 20 people. Name 2 centers in the NFL.
Right.
And she would come back and give me the $100.
So
nobody could name me. If you pick 20 random guys on the street of Philadelphia, I do not believe they would be able to answer.
Right, but that doesn't mean they're not important.
What it tells you is that we don't know. We don't tend to even know who's a great center, who's a bad center, when people can't even name them.
All right, so in terms of the topic of conversation, is he not a top 25 important player?
He would be. He would. There's no way he's a top 10 point player.
All right, well, he's
in
not.
my mind.
But he's not in 25 through 11.
I know. He can't be then. I just don't.
So you're telling me Cam Jurgens is not one of the top 10 most important players this year?
No, absolutely not. Not even a question.
Then who else would it be? I'm trying. If it's not
Jordan
Jurgens,
Davis is more important to their success.
But Jordan Davis isn't in the top 10.
No, but Jordan Davis, to me, needs to have that success.
Okay, absolutely.
He needs to be. If they're going to be successful this year, most important means to me most important to their success. Jordan Davis is far more going to determine whether this Eagles team succeeds and fails, I believe, than Cam Jurgens.
I don't disagree with you. I don't. So you don't.
Center is never going to be.
We don't have to agree with Dave's ordering of the list. I'm just trying to figure out if it's not Cam Jurgens, who else is in that top 10? It's Huff is at 10, and then all the other players have not been mentioned. We're just trying to guess that Slay's in it, Saquon's in it, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Mailata and Johnson as your 2 tackles, Jalen Carter, and obviously Jalen Hurts. Who's the other player? I feel like it has to be, if we're just guessing, whether you agree with it or not, I feel like it has to be Jurgens.
Have we considered Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
No, we haven't, and for good reason we have not.
It's kind of got to be Jurgens. I don't
do
know
me a
who else it
favor.
would
Just
be.
check this for me because I'm just going to go down the piece I wrote at 975thefanatic.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just check the list. That's anybody that's not in our 9. Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley.
Got them all.
We had Dallas Goedert. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson.
Dickerson's not in our top, he's 14th on Dave's list.
As we go on there. Jake Elliott, Jalen Carter, Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, they're all here, but Jake Elliott's 22nd.
And then we
on his
did
list.
Jordan Davis, Cooper DeJean, Bryce Huff. So it's got to be, Cam is got to be the guy on Dave's list. Now, here's the thing. Dave Zingaro, one thing I know, he's there. He's entrenched. He's there. Dave Zingaro could be hearing things. Dave Zingaro could be hearing coaches talk about it, could be hearing other players talk about it.
Right.
As to how big a role it's going to actually be. And it could be something that us, though we are connected, we aren't as deeply connected, that he's heard things that make him say, man, if this team's going to think, this guy better cook this year. That's what I'm going to give him the respect. That's why guys like Andrew DeCecco and, when we're talking to those that are there all the time, immersed in the practices and everything, sometimes they have something that we may gloss over a little bit that they don't.
Right. So
and that's what it's got to be Cam Jurgens.
Yeah,
there's no other player could be.
All right, so there you go. There's your top 10. We'll try to. How about we try to figure out the order after this because it's time now for our 5 best minutes with Adam Schefter, the great Adam Schefter. Shefty, I want to start this off with you. So yesterday we had one of our hosts here on the station call in because 2 days ago on these airwaves, he said that he believes that the Eagles will start the season 1-3. And he gave actual reasons why. Part of it was the turmoil that happened last year, but also the new coordinators and the young players defensively for the Eagles. Vic Fangio obviously is very respected in this league. Do you believe that Vic Fangio can step right in with a defense that was horrible last year, 30th in the league, and a lot of new pieces this year where they can almost start the season off hot like they have in the last couple of years? How difficult of a task is that for him?
Well, I think they're going to be improved when they start the year. And what I mean by that is improved over last year. But I do think that the units should get better over the year and that the offensive and defensive units will come together as the season goes on. But I think that when the season opens, I think there's enough talent there that when they open up in a new offensive unit, in a new defensive unit, that it should be improved over last year just because of the level at which they were playing last year. So they play the Packers in the opener. Who do they play the next 3 weeks?
They play. They come home for Atlanta, and you'll be here for Monday Night Football, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And then 2 road games at New Orleans, at Tampa Bay.
They won't be 1-3. I don't know what they'll be, but they won't be 1-3. I don't believe they'll be 1-3.
Let me ask you something. When you think of teams that win championships or at least compete for championship, we're looking at this pass rush of the Eagles, and we have serious questions about whether we see enough sacks there, considering that has been something that has been a staple of the Eagles for years to come. Do you think this Eagles team has enough talent and a guy in charge that's going to get after the quarterback enough?
I would just say to you that I am a big fan of the guy in charge, and I think he's one of the top defensive coordinators in the game, period. And has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the game for a long period of time. So if anybody's going to get it out of him, it's going to be him. That's the way it is. And if there's enough talent. Would they like to be more talent? Absolutely. Are they always looking? Sure. But they've added enough talent to where I think they could open the season, have a stellar defense, do what they need to do, get the type of pass rush they need. I think it's there. And Vic Fangio, I think, is the right guy right now at the right time.
How much stock would you put into Devin White? Last year, linebackers was a big issue for the Eagles, and he's a guy that's been struggling the last couple of seasons. But when he came into the league, he was tremendous. Wins a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Should the Eagles put a lot of stock into Devin White being this impact player, or is he more so a veteran presence in the middle of the field when they're still trying to usher in Kobe Dean into the NFL?
Well, here's what I would say there. At one point, he was an incredible linebacker. And last year, for whatever reason, his performance dropped off. And it dropped off dramatically. Now, which is it going to be? Was that the system in Tampa? That's hard to imagine because he was productive there. Was going through something personally. I don't know the answers to this, but, sometimes players fall off and they can't get back. And sometimes players fall off. They know they fell off and they use it as a chip to challenge themselves and get back to a level at which they performed. Is Devin White going to achieve the heights that he reached during the prime of his career? That would surprise me. He's done it for a long period of time, and that's hard to sustain. But can he be a solid, good linebacker for them? Yes. It's not like they invested a ton of money into him, but he did fall off last year for whatever reason. I don't know the answer to that as to why he did. He'd have to explain that, and maybe he doesn't even feel like he did. But I can tell you that there were people on Tampa that felt like he did, and so it's up to him to try to get back to the level of play to help the Eagles win this season.
If you talk to, let's take this into the future. Let's say it's around Halloween, and you sat down and did a little conversation with Jalen Hurts, and you asked him, what is it that you love the most about Kellen Moore? door and this offense. What do you think Jalen Hurts' answer would be to you?
Well, I think ultimately it's going to come back to the winning, John, right?
Well, of course.
He has a system that's going to allow them to win, but I think Kellen Moore likes to throw the football. I think he likes to throw some of the deep balls. I think that'll merge with a lot of what Jalen likes to do. And again, look, if Jalen Hurts is playing like Jalen Hurts 2022, then he's going to love Kellen Moore. If he's not, then it's going to be a question. So I think however that is, whatever it takes, he's got to get Jalen Hurts back to being one of the best players in football, not to the guy that was struggling last year to where you're spending every waking moment of the show figuring out what's wrong with him.
All right, so every once in a while when we have you on, I love asking you about how the league looks at certain players. We've asked you about Jalen Hurts. We've asked you about A.J. Brown. I want to ask you about Dallas Goedert because Dallas Goedert has 2 years left on his contract. Next year will be his final year, and we know that sometimes 1 year left means it's time to start working on a contract or it's time to start thinking about where to go. Dallas Goedert, a guy that I think is extremely talented but may not have been used enough, and it's not his fault. He's got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith as teammates. How is Dallas Goedert viewed around league circles?
I think Dallas Goedert is a guy that's going to thrive in this offense. We've talked about the fact that in Kellen Moore's offense, I think he likes to throw the football to the running backs and the tight ends, feature them in the passing game. So basically, with Dallas Goedert, here's a guy that I think has potential that has yet to be realized. I think when you go around the Eagles organization and talk to them, they think he's a monster, and they think he's capable of having a huge year. And I think when you have that type of talent and that type of potential, and you put it in a system that likes to feature the tight end, I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a bigger year than he's had in recent years for the Eagles. I think he's going to be one of these guys that really steps up this year. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Oh, there's our 5 best minutes from Adam Schefter. We took out the angry airport Shefty,
which I find very entertaining.
It was actually very entertaining.
You ever sit there on a plane though and
you're hearing all the announcements
and you're like, come on, you keep saying the same thing.
But you know
over
what?
And over again.
When I was leaving for Lithuania, when my flight was delayed and you were stuck on the tarmac for 3 hours, they weren't giving updates until it was time.
Oh, they didn't give anything
until it was time to board. They go, delayed another hour, and I kind of wouldn't have minded a little bit more. Like, hey, like every 15 minutes, just give us a hey, weather's still bad.
I told you they had a competition of kids, students, and I brought up the story in the air before that tried to fix airline travel. And the best idea that won the competition was that the gangplank that we take from the terminal to the plane, that you enter the plane from the back. So first class gets on, and they enter from the back of the plane.
Genius.
And they walk up the center aisle, and you keep filing people in, but nobody has to climb over the first class people.
That's actually
They're
genius.
up there first. And that was the kid who won. And that was like 2 or 3 years ago. The kid got money, the kid got scholarship money and everything.
Oh, wow.
And they've never implemented it. It would work. Board from the back.
You need a couple more Boeing 747s.
But if people were boarding from the back of the plane, so people would have to walk to the front, then nobody is climbing over all the people that have boarded ahead of you if you're in the back of the plane.
It's actually a really smart idea. Or you just board in reverse. Like, I get it. First class, you wanna get on the plane
No,
first,
you don't. No, you do not. No, you do not. You do not board 38C.
Don't take Johnny's first class responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Points.
No. Points. Exactly. I points. I'm a points person.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
To have points.
I
don't
just
have
board
points.
my car and drive to my destination.
Yeah, exactly.
It's much simpler that way.
All right. In the 9:30 segment, we'll try to figure out this order. We'll predict Dave's order. And then once it all comes out, we'll see if we were right or not. But let's go to Zach in Bristol. What's up, Zach?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good job, buddy. What's up?
So, 2 things that I want to talk to you guys about, and it's not Eagles related, but the Sixers. I mean, this offseason, thinking about it, like last season, we were talking about our biggest signing being Pat Bev.
Yeah, I mean you're right.
Now, they were kicking the can to 2024 summer.
And we were waiting for the James Harden trade to happen. Daryl Morey was handcuffed to an extent last year.
Part of his own doing.
Exactly, part of his own doing. He was not handcuffed this year with the clean slate. But I totally get what you're saying, Zach. You're right.
I mean, I'm genuinely excited for this season. I didn't really have that feeling last year, especially going into with the Harden situation and all that.
Well, they straight up told you they weren't going to win unless Joel Embiid was out of his mind. I mean, they weren't going to.
And he still was out of his mind.
was until he got hurt. They weren't going to make a move last year because they knew what they had coming their way this year.
Right. Now, my second thing, I actually called into you guys about 2 weeks ago and started the Bronny James debate in the second round.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I woke up with a little bit of optimism this morning, and I'm thinking about the Phillies and what we can do with this bullpen, especially going into the playoffs. And you guys are going to call me crazy, but why has nobody signed Trevor Bauer yet?
Because he's the biggest jackass in Major League Baseball, and players hate him.
There you go.
Players cannot stand him. And you would never, you would, if we have a literal roster spot for a DJ, we do not need, you don't bring in somebody who ruins team vibes.
Yeah, this team especially, you wouldn't bring a guy like Trevor Bauer. And we appreciate the call, Zach.
He is not well liked. I know players who've been his teammate who speak poorly of him.
Yeah.
But look, the league will tell you. He's available there. Anybody can have him.
He's been available
and he
all
was
season.
cleared of false charges, by the way, too.
Yeah, he's been available all season long, and nobody
wants him.
All right, coming up, and remember, he's been talking about playing for free, and still nobody wants him. So it's not just a Phillies thing.
You said you were willing to work for free.
I never said that. Coming up next, we'll try to figure out. So Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia putting together the top 25 most important Eagles. They started the top 10. We know that Bryce Huff is number 10. We know the players that haven't been listed yet. We'll try to figure out the order. And then we'll keep note of this, and then once it officially comes out, we'll see how close we were. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies pummeled the Dodgers.
mark your calendars. Coming up Tuesday, July 23rd at 9 o'clock. So
July
right around this time.
23rd, 9 o'clock.
9 a.m., Tuesday, July 23rd for our next online ticket raid for FanFest, which is coming our way Saturday, September 28th at Xfinity Live, presented by our friends at FanDuel. Biggest part of the year for Philadelphia sports fans. Obviously, 97.5thefanatic.com has all the information about the event. Can't wait to start. I love when we get the sheet of all the details of the event. It's always the fun sheet. You read everything that's going on, so I can't wait. That's coming our way September 28th. But the next ticket raid, Tuesday, July 23rd at 9 a.m.
And we get to do it this time.
Yes.
That's good.
That's right. I get to say, all right.
It's open.
It's open, and then in like 3 seconds, all right,
I think it was 8 minutes the other day, or
it just goes by
whatever.
so quick, man.
Tyrone mentions it, and then just literally had to come back and be like,
it's one of the hottest tickets in town, man.
Windows closed, but we'll be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to brag a little bit.
What's that?
Speaking of hot tickets, I'm seeing Blink 182 in a few weeks.
Oh, where?
Let's go.
Where?
Wells Fargo Center.
They're playing Wells Fargo?
July 26th, Friday, July 26th.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I can't wait for that.
All the small things.
I'm just going to ignore that him singing.
Yeah, please.
You know how it is. You get back from vacation, you're like, all right, what do I have
No,
next?
what are you looking
What am I
forward to
looking forward
next?
to next? And I forgot that I have that coming up July 26th.
We were literally looking yesterday going, okay, where are we going to eat? Where are we going to like make a dinner reservation or something in these small backwoods Virginia towns?
Right.
And we're looking at so we're on, Christina pulls up YouTube and starts looking at Front Royal, Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
And saying, she goes, look at this cute little restaurant. We're like, okay, we'll go eat there. You got to have things to look forward to.
That's what I do. Before you travel somewhere, like I'm sure when you went to OBX, did you have many? Obviously, you had like plans because it was a bachelorette joint party.
Yeah.
Weirdos. But
Weirdos.
like, did you guys have
Wasn't my
dinner
choice.
plans ahead of time?
You saw the pulled pork sandwich I got. Obviously, there were no lunch plans, but no. Oh my god! No, we didn't actually.
There's a beauty of not having a plan and then also having a plan. Like when we were in Lithuania, this is my third time, so I know a lot of the places.
But there wasn't like you didn't have. Did you have the thing where we're going to go eat at Vinny's? We've eaten there before, but we don't have to know the day we're eating.
Right, we had
type of thing. Right,
we had one because there was a group of 20 of us that ended up being there.
Okay.
We were there early, so we had a family.
Well, that's big. You have to plan
reunion
those.
dinner.
And you got to plan those.
That was Thursday night, but other than that, it was just showing up whatever we were feeling.
See, I love having the plan that is still flexible.
Yes,
we're going to go. We know we're going to hit this spot, but we don't know what day we're going to. We'll say, what are we in the mood for? That's when we'll hit that spot.
Yeah, I just don't ever travel with anybody all that often, so my options are roll into town, find a bar that's open,
fun
and sit
too.
there,
which
which is great.
I need to look forward to something. Like that's my
You
way
don't
of
look
life.
forward to seeing us every morning?
I do actually. I was actually ready. I almost came into work Monday. I was off Monday. I almost came in. Cooper woke up at 4:30. I almost came in.
Yeah, and you did come in, really. I had an old coworker who
on Monday when I was off, I almost came in.
Who complained all the time and would say, I could never travel with you. He'd be hearing about Disney. And he'd be like, you guys are so planned. I don't travel like that. Don't plan. He went to Disney with his wife and children, 2 children, for the first time, ages 6 and 4. And he sent me an apology.
Because he wished he
sent me an apology email. He goes, I understand now. I didn't understand till we wanted to do this and it was booked. We wanted to do this. And we couldn't get in. He goes, so I'm ripping on you for being so planned. But he said, you got to do some things that we didn't get to do.
Absolutely.
And I said, well, next time you'll know.
There's a beauty in both.
Hey, man, you can't book a corner seat at a bar, Johnny.
That's it. It works well.
Actually, some
You
restaurants
you absolutely can.
depending on how nice the place
Not
is.
the ones I go to.
Exactly.
All right, so Dave Zangaro put together his top 25 most important Eagles list. He's starting to unleash the top 10.
Okay.
So we know, because we all agree Cam Jurgens must be in it if he wasn't in.
It has to be Cam if he's not in the first 25.
11 through 25, yeah.
If Cam Jurgens isn't in 11 to 25, he's got to be in the top 10.
So Bryce Huff, we know, is number 10 because they started the top 10. We all assume Jalen Hurts is number 1.
I'd say so.
Is that correct?
I'd say 1.
So we need to figure out 2 through 9 in the next couple minutes. Darius Slay, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter, and Cam Jurgens.
Jalen Carter
is number 2?
Yes.
Really?
Here's my thinking. If I don't think it's going to be one of the 2 receivers, because I think we have 1A or 2A A-level receivers.
Yes.
So I don't think he's going to choose one of them. And I don't think it will be a running back.
No, I don't think it would be Saquon, though.
So unless it's Lane Johnson.
That was my guess because
Lane was going to be my 3.
The numbers of like when Lane Johnson is off the field, how bad they are.
And by the way, I believe those numbers, and I scoffed at them before.
Oh, really? Okay.
I thought that they were numbers that people were sort of cherry picking, and that maybe they were like sort of causal numbers that really weren't causal. And I am telling you, I believe in the Lane Johnson numbers now. I would have gone Carter 2, Johnson 3. But I'd have no problem if he goes Johnson to Carter 3. The Eagles' defense is, we say, thin.
Yeah, I'd say so.
If Jalen Carter doesn't become the threat of or the game wrecker
that he's supposed to be,
this could be a long year.
Now,
and we're talking about a second-year player.
Is Slay one of the options?
Yes, he's one of the options.
I wonder how high up he is. Because you look at this defense, you lost Fletcher Cox. Brandon Graham's in his swan song year. I know he's got the leadership, but it's not going to be on the field as much.
Yeah.
Darius Slay is going to be the on-the-field leader of that defense.
And he's a captain.
Where did he have Brandon Graham, by the way?
Brandon Graham was 25th, and I think that was more of a nod to...
We didn't have an R16.
Yeah, no. I think Dave Zangaro does that out of respect.
Right.
Because Brandon Graham deserves to be in the top 25.
Dave Zangaro's he's a respectful guy.
So I have Hertz 1. I did Lane/Carter for 2 and 3.
Oh, so you did too. Okay. So
I agree with you.
No,
Like it could be either
then
one.
It's gotta be AJ
Lane Johnson.
Then it's got to be AJ
at 4.
Yes. It's got to be AJ 4 then.
I guess. I'm just trying to figure out when Mailata comes into play because we know how important.
I don't think he comes into play as early as you think.
Okay, so you go AJ at number 4?
Yes. Mailata comes in before Devontae, and I'm not sure that is due. Saquon comes in before Mailata. And
I would put like Saquon more toward the bottom half.
Yeah, Saquon would be like 7 or 8.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
Because of Gainwell being here?
No, because he's a running back.
Because he's a running back.
See, I just believe, here's what I'm going to say to you, and we're going to get into this a little bit tomorrow. I'm just telling you, take what you think you know about running back and everything with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore he gets them involved. He utilizes them. He leans on them.
But I think about it this way: if Saquon Barkley got hurt, God forbid, I think they're
Kenneth
okay.
Gainwell. Yeah, I agree with you.
I think they're okay.
That's why I think you make a good point with that.
So I would probably have him more 7, 8, or 9. Like if Jalen Hurts got hurt, think about it this way: if Hurts gets hurt,
it's a disaster.
It's a disaster. If Lane Johnson gets hurt, it's a disaster. If Carter doesn't play to the level we expect him to or gets hurt, it's a disaster, right?
Yes.
Like that's why they're the top 3. Like if Darius Slay gets hurt, it's a pretty big deal because your cornerback depth, even though there's more, it's still very young. Like Keely Ringo's only entering his second year.
They have a lot of bodies they can throw at it, though.
They do, but
whether they
still
would be
a drop
Slay
off.
caliber
right.
is another thing. And people, again, and you and I agree on this, and I'm a little surprised, is that I think some people portray last year of Darius Slay, they sort of put the James Bradbury stink on him.
Bro,
I have no idea because Darius Slay had a good year last year.
He's been
I think
good
he had a great
every year.
See, I think he had a great year the year before.
Yeah, but he had
a good year
because
last
he didn't
year.
look great in one play in the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, Darius Slay stinks. Like Darius Slay has been everything that you have paid him for.
I actually think he's maybe been more.
Yeah, the only thing is in the Jonathan Gannon defense, he wasn't able to make interceptions. Like he wasn't able to make plays, and that was probably the one thing that I think people were bothered by was that big play Slay wasn't intercepting 7 or 8 passes in a season.
Yeah.
He's tremendous. So Justin Jefferson has been locked down multiple times now by him.
So we have 5 more slots, and the way I look at Slay is like, yeah, he's important, but he was on this team last year. Right? Have we gone through Chauncey Gardner-Johnson yet?
He was outside the top 10.
Oh, he was outside the top 10. Okay, my bad.
13th on the
I don't think he'd be.
I got to disagree with Dave there.
Yeah, I
That's
disagree
fine.
with
You
Dave.
can. Maybe tomorrow we'll come up with our own. Maybe. Well, you already did the 16. But
we didn't do them in order.
Okay.
We just put them in.
Maybe we'll try to put it in order.
Grouping.
So Hertz, Lane/Carter for 2-3, AJ Brown at 4. Are we?
Like, do you think AJ Brown 4? I do because I really
agree.
do.
No, I agree with you.
So
even though you have here's the only thing: like if you lose one, you still have the other. Like
yeah, that's why. Yes, it is. But
still, AJ Brown is just so important.
He's so good.
Slay 5,
maybe because your defense is bare.
Yeah.
So if you put Slay 5, I put Saquon 9. Maybe I'd put Juergens 9 and then Saquon 8 or something
Juergens
like
does
that.
not sniff my top 10.
Right, but he's on
I know,
here.
but he's on there.
So you want to put him 9?
No, but I don't want to influence you guys because I think you may
I'm
agree
fine with that, though. Juergens 9, Saquon 8, and then...
And that leaves Devontae and Mailata.
Mailata 6, Devontae 7?
Correct. That's the way I'd go.
All right.
That's the way I'd go.
So
and
I'll
that's no
save this.
disrespect to Devontae.
No, of course not. I will save this, and then when Dave comes out with it, I'm guessing in the next 2 weeks, I'm guessing it drops every single day.
We will tell Dave where he was wrong.
Yeah, exactly, because
Dave, we
you
know.
should listen to us.
Come on, Dave. No, I think he's a hidden gem.
Who, Dave? Oh yeah, he's great. I love when he's on the best show ever.
I think it's very
Tremendous.
good. Really good stuff.
All right, coming up next, it's the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show, followed by our crossover with Bob Cooney. All ahead right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
New 76er Caleb Martin with Bob Cooney.
break, Connor Thomas basically unleashed something out of me.
Oh.
He does that because he can't smell.
What?
Huh?
He does that because he can't smell. He doesn't pay the penalty. Oh, he unleashed something
He unleashed
else.
something out of me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how he would make me pass
I got
gas.
confused.
All right, so. All right. Connor asked me a question.
Okay, that's better. Better wording.
Connor asked me
That's
if the
good.
Sixers won the NBA championship.
Yes.
What's it called? What's the dance called?
Would you do the Jared McCain TikTok dance?
Yeah, but what's it actually called?
I don't know. I think it's called like the song is like the Nasty Girl.
The Nasty Girl.
Or whatever.
I would paint my nails, put on a dress,
Okay.
and do the dance. If the Sixers won a title,
Yes, I would do it as well. But
seriously.
my response, and you know that I'm right. I don't understand why he has such a big following.
I don't understand.
And here's why. He does the exact same dance in every single video. Watch it. It's, now my timeline is Jared McCain.
Oh,
now,
yeah,
right?
You know what, though? He's a handsome young man. He is personable. And
well, that's great.
but that gets people.
But he doesn't talk on his videos.
I understand, but it gets
He just
people.
does the same dance.
He does the same
I
dance.
understand he does.
Every single
stupid.
time. Like, imagine if I went to Instagram every single day and just said, "Hi, guys," and then turned it off.
This
Like,
is where
imagine if before the show we took the same selfie every time and posted it to social media. And sorry.
Okay, this is what I would say: is that it's not for you. It's not for us.
but I don't
it's
understand how it's for
Listen,
anyone.
but it is because look,
Same thing. It's nothing. It's nothing original. He does the same
I
dance every
understand.
time.
He's an attractive kid. That's part of it.
It's just a little brain rot.
He's
just
charming.
Like Gen Z
It is.
get a little
and
brain rot.
And the one thing is, Andrew, is that I'll say it to you is that, and it took me a long time to learn it. There are just some things that aren't for you or aren't for us, and we don't understand why it's. I don't understand TikTok's appeal
it's just
almost at all.
It's a lack of creativity. If he does a different dance every single time, all right, but he does the same thing.
Why would he? When he keeps getting the following,
No,
and he
that's
keeps
what I'm saying.
growing.
No,
He
I
could be a
think
one-trick
it-
pony if that
I'm
trick's
saying
awesome.
I'm saying it's a problem with society, not a problem with Jared McCain. It's a problem with society. All right,
There's
it's
lots
time
of
now
problems.
for the key three.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
I'm great. I watched the 10-1 freaking beatdown of the Dodgers last night. Dude, Connor said it this morning. I tweeted it out last night. It makes so much of a difference when you have Major League Baseball players in your lineup. Not even the way it played out. The way you just look at the lineup card. When the lineup was tweeted out yesterday and Schwarber and Harper were back in it, you're reading it and you're going, oh, wait, this is what a Major League lineup looks like. I forgot how that looked for a while because they've been playing with basically 4A players for the last 3 weeks.
You know what's great about it, though? They went 4-3 in that stretch.
They did.
But you just see is what you said. Depth. The second inning isn't looking like the back end of the second inning is a crappy lineup.
Right, no.
It's deeper, and everybody feels comfortable. And last night, you did it without Harper and Casti. Two guys who absolutely can rake and knock things around and everything. When they get hot and get rolling, it's a really impressive thing. And last night, I think, was a great statement coming off the Braves.
Here's Emmanuel Acho yesterday. The topic was whether or not you would take Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott, and he went with Dak Prescott. And then he goes into his reasoning being that Jalen Hurts has never actually played well in the playoffs. Take a listen.
I don't think Jalen Hurts has ever been the reason his team has won a playoff game. Go back and look at it. He's never been the reason his team has won a playoff game.
So,
oh my gosh. He honestly, Emmanuel Acho, I've had the opportunity to interview him once or twice. He's a cartoon character, and he seems like a nice guy, so I will give him that. But he is a cartoon character. He is purposefully saying, what can I say to just try to create clickbait?
That's what it seems like.
No, it is. I'm completely convinced because I've been told over and over again, he's a smart guy, that he's smart.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
So he's probably doing this to get reaction.
Yeah, he's trying to get ratings. He's trying to get people, and he knows anything he says about Philadelph.
He's going to get,
He uses
look, here we are.
He uses the Chris Sims mantra of going, Chris Sims knows if he says something inflammatory about Philly, it gets him trending, it gets him talked about,
right?
It gets him attention.
So here's what I want to do today. I want you to try to put something to bed. Have a strong case behind it, and it could be anything in Philadelphia sports because Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, this isn't a topic where I go, oh, if Carson Wentz didn't get hurt, I could make the case that they would have won the Super Bowl. No, I can make the case right now that Jalen Hurts is the reason why they won playoff games or was a part of the reason why they won playoff games. Caleb Martin, and right away, he's going to become a fan favorite because this guy just freaking gets it. How often do you hear a guy talking about good pressure?
I love the idea of good pressure.
It's a great answer.
Yeah, and more importantly, he's somebody who my ears perk up a bit because Caleb Martin has showed us in his career on multiple playoff appearances. Yeah. He's shown us that his level of game is actually raised in those type of pressure situations.
Right.
To me, that means he understands exactly what this city is going to demand, and he embraces it.
The great Adam Schefter.
Basically, with Dallas Goedert, here's a guy that I think has potential that has yet to be realized. I think when you go around the Eagles organization and talk to them, they think he's a monster, and they think he's capable of having a huge year.
Unbelievable day yesterday for the Phillies. They win 10-1 against the Dodgers, and to your point, I hope that puts a lot of people at ease because people were panicking for a little bit.
You know what's great?
I don't know why.
You know what's great, though, is you were out Monday as you're, transitioning back to the States.
Correct.
I was absolutely impressed, at least with our listener base.
Yeah.
We didn't have it.
Yeah, okay.
We had nobody in our listener base that was even texting or otherwise saying, oh my gosh, we lost again to the Braves. I said, look, it pissed me off. But then games like that just remind me, this is a special ball club.
Oh, absolutely.
A really special ball club. And today, the Phillies are eligible for Social Security. The magic number is at 65 this morning.
65. Unbelievable. All right, that's the Kincade and Salciunas key three best minutes from today's show. Sorry it was a little late, Bobby. Good morning.
Yeah, what's the deal here?
I was just confused.
My time is precious.
I was confused by
walking the hallway, getting ready to come in here, and you two are still yammering.
Precious.
Because I'm confused by what works for people, and that's great. John's right. Whatever people like, you like.
Yeah, and Bob's one of the people who always is one of the people in my life that has preached that more than anything. Like what you like.
I was talking about the
John came up with the "Don't yuck somebody's yum."
Yeah,
he said one of the few phrases I've taken from him.
You said it earlier today.
Yeah, I love it.
Don't yuck somebody's yum.
My question is, I love that Jared McCain has the TikTok and everything. He does the same dance in every video.
That's weird.
The same dance. So,
but it's not for us.
If you're a follower, why would you follow somebody who's doing the same thing every day?
So Amy's going to join us all for 4 hours today. We're going to talk Phillies, Sixers, stuff like that. Andrew, I don't know. I don't know. If he's having fun doing the TikTok, like I said, it's not. I know. I hear you. You think he needs to up his repertoire?
Up his repertoire,
I
man.
think maybe you should call the Sixers.
He's not Mariano.
Have him come on your show and ask him the important questions of what's the deal here.
No, this is perfect.
Learn a new dance.
Andrew has to choreograph a new dance for him. If you don't like the current one, put one together.
That's what I'm thinking.
Listen, I've done polka dancing. Yeah, in the Lithuanian Gardens.
I'm sure he's into polka.
Me and Jared could do a dance together.
He's trying to gain followers, not losing.
He's actually on the list to talk about today. Is Jared McCain?
That right?
But not about his TikTok and his dance moves.
He's looked good in the 2 summer league games.
It's funny, like Tyrone and I talked a lot yesterday about the little things that you look for in summer league.
Yeah.
It's not the points. It's not it's little things. Well, I picked up some more little things from him that I want to talk about today. So we'll get into that. We're probably going to have a Phillies guest on it around the 1 o'clock hour. So another fun-filled day.
It was a fun-filled night last night.
10-1 last night.
That was fun.
It's an absolute.
Well, it was funny because we ended the show yesterday with me saying, here's the lineup, Rob Thompson, you need to put out there. Not tomorrow, not tonight, not tomorrow, all 3 days against the Dodgers. And it was the exact lineup that he put out last night.
Does he do it tonight?
Do it again, Rob. Do it again.
He'll tinker. He'll tinker for tinkering.
Another right-handed pitcher. Why not?
It should. Thank you,
It
Bobby.
should be.
We appreciate it.
All right, boys.
Good job, Bob. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning. Make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because I'm living proof 3 times over. Cancer research saves lives.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be back at it tomorrow. But coming up next, it's the Midday Show. Bob Cooney, Amy Fadul,